Hello, everybody. It's Blade Daily, and I am coming to you without Professor Degree. Thank Christ. Jesus Christ on the cross died so that I could have this moment without Professor Degree, but with my good friend Shane. Shane, say hello.
Hello. I am here to save the audience from having to listen to Blade by himself for an hour plus. So you're welcome, everybody.
That is true. I did it by myself on Friday, and the feedback I got was horrible. Like, people were just like if the show had been solo but without Blade, would have been great, but
would have been better.
Yeah. Bunch of
the fan background, more entertaining.
Yeah. And I was like, that's not cool, guys. And people are just unsubscribing. It was really way stronger reaction than I expected. But that's okay. Booing intensifies. That's kind of the story of my life. I think you know that, Shane.
You're just getting heat. That's it. You're seeing your heel arc, you know?
Yeah. Blurry Line wants to know what my ceiling fan has to say. No, you don't. And that ceiling fan has signed an NDA. Anyway. Okay. Well, folks, we are here to talk about Forbidden Door because it was last night as we taped this. And, we should know better at a certain point. It's not that we can't criticize AEW because they had some stuff that deserved to be criticized. And the build wasn't the greatest. But when it comes time to just put on the show, is there any wrestling company in the history of pay-per-view that has ever delivered as consistently as AEW?
I don't think so. I think like maybe outside of, the year 2000 WWE, that's probably the closest that we've ever had to a string of hits like this. Mm-hmm. Because it's been over a year now where they've just been delivering. Like, their pay-per-views are always good. Like, let's, they historically, I don't remember really watching a bad AEW pay-per-view. Maybe some were not as good as others.
Yeah.
But they're always at minimum good. But I don't know. It seems like after they got out of the Death Rider storyline, over a year ago with Mox, keeping the title hostage and everything. Once they put the belt on Hangman, everything's been on fire ever since, it seems like. So, yeah, another solid effort. Like you said, we got to learn to trust them.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, look, I have a podcast. I talk about wrestling every week. I have to have something, I can't just be like glazing these guys constantly. I still do pretty much, but at the end of the day, you do need to find the things that could be better and talk about that as well. That said, the build wasn't the greatest. We were all talking about, it didn't feel very forbidden. The year before was kind of the same thing because New Japan was doing the G1 when they did Forbidden Door in the UK. And so, I remember Joshi and myself were bringing that point up a lot last year and thinking, next year will be better. And then it comes to light during, Tony Khan's presser and stuff like that visas are a huge issue. And they are a huge issue for anyone who works on a visa in this country, in the United stupid fucking States. It's a real problem because we've shrunk the size of government for no reason. And the people who process that paperwork, there's a lot less of them. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who just don't want to come here right now because ICE is fucking with everybody. And
I think it's a combo of both.
Yeah,
I think the people who want to come here are having issues getting here, and then there's probably plenty of people who just don't want to come right now. I think it's both.
Yeah, and I also think there's some truth to look. New Japan is not at its peak right now. It's a different scenario to go back 4 or 5 years when Okada was still over there and Tanahashi was still active, and you had all these performers that you might only get to see once that year. Jay White, was in New Japan. Will Ospreay was in New Japan, so I think that was all a factor as well. As well. So, at the end of the day, all those guys I just named are under contract to AEW now. So in a certain way, AEW is the forbidden door, unfortunately.
And I think that's part of the issue too, is I think they really just need to rebrand it. I think the idea is good and they could keep the idea, but they don't need to call it Forbidden Door because for one, everybody knows at this point that all of these companies have working relationships together. They talent exchange throughout the year, even outside of Forbidden Door season. So at the end of the day, it's not a Forbidden Door because everyone knows that they're all together in this wrestling thing. So they really just need to rebrand it. Call it, I don't know, anything else. Call it the Super Show. Call it, just whatever,
or maybe,
the MASH, something else. But Forbidden Door, the branding of Forbidden Door just doesn't fit what it is anymore. Because even if you take into account all of the people that have like dual contracts who theoretically are still representing these other companies, you have Claudio, so there's CMLL, you have Takeshita, there's DDT and New Japan. You have, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people like that. So kind of Moxley, because he's in the G1 and doing shit like that. You know what I mean? So even if he's not signed, he's over there a lot. So, he's over there enough to where his group in AEW is affecting stories in New Japan because the whole Shota Umino thing was about his relationship with Moxley. So there you go. You know what I mean? So they just need to change the name, I think. Rebrand it, call it something else, and then it's cool. Then the expectation isn't where we have it at. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think it could just be as simple as just have it in a different country. Don't do it here. Like bring all into the States and do Forbidden Door somewhere else. That is not as threatening to, go visit, for these people.
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to come here right now.
Why wouldn't they do Forbidden Door in the Tokyo Dome? Like that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. Blair Line says maybe the second through probably like the 10th run of NXT takeovers were strong. They were, I agree. They were very strong. And then adds, but this is one a much bigger and more consistent scale with higher stakes. That's kind of what I was just like cutting myself off from saying. Yes. Tino says, was it a good show? Sure. Was it a good Forbidden Door? Debatable. I mean, at the end of the day,
I think if you include the pre-show, it's a good Forbidden Door.
I ended up feeling satisfied with it. I did want to see more CMLL representation because there was very little, but I think that at the end of the day, they're going to do the Grand Slam show in August with CMLL. And so that's the nature of the relationship is so consistent now that it's just kind of, Tony talked about
that's what I'm saying.
It's much easier to do this with somebody on the same continent than it is with people in Japan, so
also,
yeah. Yeti Malone says Tony has to get his talent MasterCards or discover. No. Tino says, sounds like Yota Tsuji is one of those that doesn't want to come through. Yeah. And hard to blame him. In my honest opinion, scrap the Forbidden Door branding, use the Wrestle Dream branding like a New Japan honoring name, but for the dream of a united world of wrestling. I agree. I was actually going to suggest the same thing. Blair Line is Wrestle Dream would be kind of like a perfect way to do something like that, but without getting the expectations maybe so high.
That's what I mean. What I mean. Because then if you can't get everybody from all these other places, it's like, okay, well, we're still going to have dream matches. Yeah. And then we'll have some of those people come over here. And then sometimes we'll have more than other times. And then it's fine.
Yeah. But as a guy who works in marketing, I can tell you each pay-per-view is like its own brand, right? Like Revolution's a brand, Forbidden Door is a brand, and it's a valuable brand. And so just getting rid of it when you're looking at balance sheets and shit. I'm not sure.
I get it.
I'm not sure if they will do it, is what I'm saying. But theoretically, these are all very good ideas.
Yeah, no, I don't think they will. I think Forbidden Door is here to stay until, or unless, let me say it that way. I'm not going to say until. unless the relationship with New Japan dissolves. Then Forbidden Door goes away. But until or unless that happens, it's here.
Yeah. Tino says, or do Forbidden Door in Arena Mexico. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that would be cool as hell. The Cathedral of Lucha Libre, baby. All right. Well, let's dive into this. So we had a buy-in pre-show, and they had announced 2 matches, and then they added one the day of that was like, you're just throwing that in there? Like holy shit. We led off the entire night with Drilla Maloney versus Daniel Garcia. And they had a really fun match. I thought that Daniel Garcia seems like he's kind of trying some stuff out right now and finding himself like he's always kind of like too amped up and like a little too aggressive for his own good, but it's given him a little bit of snark that I think his character needs. You know, he just needs something so that he's not just bland. You know what I mean? I think that's what people, when people don't like Danny, that's what they don't like, is that he doesn't jump off the screen to you at all, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. He's his presentation is bland until they kind of give him something to sink his teeth into. You know what I mean? Like, even going back, like, he was bland until he started doing the dance. Then he kind of got over with the dance. You know, then he stopped doing the dance, and then he was kind of bland again. And then he was just trying to be like the best technical guy. And it's like, we kind of have enough of those. Like, you know what I mean? So how else are you going to stand out? And now him being part of the Death Riders, it seems like he's one of those guys that, at least character wise, and I think we all know people like this who need to latch themselves onto something in order to have an identity. You know what I mean? So that's who Danny Garcia is, the wrestler in kayfabe. So that's what he's doing now. He's like, oh, I'm a Death Rider. That means I'm supposed to act this way. So I'm going to act that way now. You know what I mean? Like, that's,
You nailed it. I mean, Danny Garcia's character is basically that he's a follower who's kind of trying to like ingratiate himself with Mox constantly. And remember when he was yelling at Will and then Mox showed up and he's like, never mind. Like, you know, like, I love that. I think there's some subtle character things going on with Danny, but what I thought was interesting about this match, and we'll make this part kind of short because we got so much to review and to talk about anyway. The interplay between Drilla and Marina Shafir was really interesting, I thought. They definitely were having some kind of confrontation. Danny loses. You know, he ends up taking, I forget the name of Drilla's finisher, but it's very similar to Mark Davis's pile driver. And gets pinned. Marina has this, like, what the fuck look on her face. Like, she looked really disappointed. And I'm interested to see where that goes.
The one thing that I wish the announcers would do a little bit better of a job of, and thank God for our homie Justin for breaking these different like little nuances down, is because, you know, they have to realize that we don't get New Japan here in the United States like on cable or like through a regular, you know what I mean? So a lot of us don't have access to it. They block everything New Japan related on YouTube, you know, so like outside of like reviews where a person is just talking at the camera telling you what happened, you're not getting anything. There's no clips, there's no pictures, there's nothing. Like, they got that on lock. So we don't get a lot of information about New Japan if you're not actively going out of your way to seek it out. So what I say all of that to say, I didn't know Drilla Maloney wasn't part of the War Dogs anymore. So in my mind, I'm like, is this supposed to be treated just like an exhibition between, because, you know, the War Dogs and the Death Riders are like, they're like a clique kind of all in AEW. Yeah. And then you got Gabe Kidd over in New Japan who's representing the Death Riders. He didn't even say anything about the War Dogs. He was like, I was saying here to let you know you're not a Death Rider no more, to show to Umino. So I'm like, okay, well, if Drilla's still a War Dog, like, why is he fighting Daniel Garcia? And
right.
Justin had explain, like, oh no, he left the War Dogs and he's part of this whole other thing now. And I'm like, see, now the average AEW fan is not going to know that. So that's my only kind of issue with some of these. It's like, do a better job on commentary explaining what's going on. Like,
or even
Drilla was he's still throwing up Too Sweet and everything. And I'm like, the War Dogs still throw up Too Sweet. It looks like you're all still a crew.
Right. Well, and then the other thing too is that, you could just do some simple YouTube shit just to like, here's what's been going on in New Japan since the last Forbidden Door, and make a 2-minute video that just kind of covers the real big highlights. Tanahashi retired, Tanahashi retired and the War Dogs left, but some of them stayed and now they're part of Unbound Company, which is all of the guys who don't have a group are in this one group now. So, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. Blairy says that would have been a good job for a Chris Charlton type of, for obvious reasons. He's not involved in this show. It's too bad. A lot of people dunk on Chris Charlton. I like him. I think he's very good at what he does. Some people really hate his commentary. He is an uber nerd, but I don't see that as a bad thing. Blairy also says that Daniel's character has drank the Mox Kool-Aid. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I always think of DG along with Yuta and Moriarty since they're kind of the same crop of techers. Exactly. And they wrestled each other a shitload on the indies. They all kind of came in at the same time. Let's see. Tino says Gabe did come at Drilla a bit and said he was better than New Japan. Seems like there's not hate, but they want to persuade Drilla to AEW, which could be interesting if they ever capitalize on it. Yeah. What I like is that, and you and I were talking about this before we went live, is nobody does anything in AEW for just no reason at all. And when something does seem to happen for no reason, like MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, it's just like, it seems so weird. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just write it off as pro wrestling shit. It's like, you guys don't.
And they usually fix that shit real quick.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When they try something and it doesn't work, they're like, all right, let's go ahead and MJF's gone now. Like, no longer in the Hurt Syndicate. We're going to act like that never happened. Like, they haven't even referenced it since. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just pretending like it never happened. It's like, all right, we'll let that one slide.
Tino says disappointing Marina probably hurt more than the loss. Probably. Yeah. I wouldn't want to disappoint her either.
Hell no.
But yeah, they had a good match. It was nice to see Drilla get a win. And really when you think about it, more people see the pre-show than probably see the pay-per-view. So,
and that's why I do. A lot of people don't consider the pre-show part of the main show. I do. One, because it's part of the same event. You know what I mean? It's literally taking place at the same time. The crowd that's there is going to see all of it, so there's not really and then if it's because people are comparing it to what the other company does, well, guess what? Their first hour's free now too. You know what I'm saying? Before you have to. And people don't say, well, that first hour doesn't count. That's the WrestleMania pre-show. That's not part of the actual. No, people say Obafemi beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, end of sentence.
Right.
So this is the same shit. People are nitpicking, I think, it's just a way to get more people on the show because there's only so much time that companies have when it comes to pay-per-views. Like, you rent like a certain time slot, basically. Like, you have a 4-hour block and you have to get everything you want accomplished within that 4-hour block. So, okay, well, we have 5 hours worth of shit to do, but we only have 4 hours on this block. We're going to throw this first hour. Like, I don't understand why people look at that like it's a negative, I guess. Like, I don't get it.
No. And, ultimately being involved at all is good. And,
and that's where all the New Japan and CMLL people picked up their wins. Like, that was all basically on the pre-show, except for a few matches we'll get into later. But to me, I became a fan of a few people that I had never seen wrestle before. And that was all on the pre-show. I had never seen Micah wrestle before, and I'm looking forward to seeing her on Wednesday now. I'm not super familiar with Drilla Maloney. I was familiar through like Bullet Club and stuff like that, but I hadn't seen a lot of his stuff. So I was like, okay, I want to check more of his stuff out now. there's a lot of, there's a lot of talent. Even Olympia, I've seen some of her stuff, but this was a good showcase for her. So it's like, I'm becoming a fan of a lot of people, and it's through those pre-show matches, so.
For sure. Kaylee's in the chat. What up?
Hey, Kay. How you doing?
Next match was involved Micah. It was to qualify for the last spot in the Survival of the Fittest match. It's going to happen for the TBS title on Dynamite this week. And and by the way, Kaylee was there. Kaylee was there live last night. So Kay, as we're talking, if you want to share some thoughts, please feel free. I'll share them on the show here. Yes, she is very tired, as one might imagine.
Make sure y'all follow her on Threads so you can see her hitting her CEO dance.
Yes, with Muppet Monet, no less.
Muppet Monet.
Yeah. So we then get this qualifying match for Survival of the Fittest, and you get Micah versus Sky Blue, which is a very interesting match to me because it's two very different styles. Really good match. You and I were in the same group chat, and we were talking about Sky should go to Stardom for like a month or something. Of all the people in AEW that I would send her first because she's a real one. She loves wrestling. She would soak up every second of that opportunity. Yep. You know what I mean? But her with Micah was great. And they had a great back and forth. Micah is a very different kind of wrestler than Tekla is. More of a powerhouse. Right. And ragdolled Sky Blue pretty good. Micah gets the win, and I was actually kind of surprised because I thought there was a real chance that Sky Blue was going to win. I thought they'd probably stick to AEW wrestlers for the Survival of the Fittest, but they didn't. And I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised that Micah got the win. And I saw some people kind of bummed that Sky lost. And what I would say is, Sky Blue is like one of the MVPs of the women's division because she's so unselfish and she just wants to go out and have a good match and help people get over. And that's what she does. She goes out there. She will have a great match. She'll lose if she needs to. If that's what they're asking her to do, that's what she'll do. I saw an interview where she said, I don't really worry about titles and stuff. Like, I just worry about doing a good job and doing putting on the best match I can. And got to respect that.
Well, they're in a really unique position also, I think. People like Sky Blue, people like Julia Hart. I think they're in a really unique position because they're so young. So they have so much time to become stars. Like, in the sense of, when I say that, I mean like being serious contenders for titles, right? Yep. And we have to remember Julia Hart is already a former TBS champion. So we do have to remember that. But I think because neither of them are older than 25, I don't think, right? Julia or Sky.
26 maybe, like top.
Maybe 26, So they have a lot of time. So I think because they have natural support, like a lot of people, just because they're homegrown, because we've seen, the changes in their characters, because we've seen the improvement in the ring, we've seen their first match and then their most recent match, and we've seen the leaps and bounds that, they've both grown in that time. So I think Sky knows that. So she's like, I have time. Like, I'm not towards the end of my career where I have to hurry up and try to accomplish everything I want to accomplish. I have another 15 years. Easy, possibly longer, assuming health and everything is cool, but easy another 15 years if she wants to. So,
right.
I think I don't think she has a reason to worry about it. I think if she keeps playing the role and she proves herself to be reliable, dependable, safe, putting on good matches, able to work with a diverse group of talent, different styles, different things like that, and put on good matches with everybody, which so far she has proven herself to be able to do. I don't see why by the time she's 30, she's not, a regular in one of the title scenes. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think she's a future world champion if you do it right. The chat, Tino says to Kay, I'm not jealous you got to see Jay return live at all. No, definitely not. None of us are jealous. Yeah. Blurry Line says, Stardom absolutely did the best from the whole Forbidden Door concept. They had the only story fitting the concept. Totally. I think that would have been different had Gabe Kidd not got hurt, because he was showing up and attacking people in New Japan quite often. And I think they were built
taking on the guy Tekla role when it comes to that.
Like, he was basically, Dude Tekla, basically. That's his new nickname. He's Dude Tekla. Shorthand for Gabe Kidd. Send Kyle and Sky on an excursion. Kyle has a history there and can help her navigate it. Yeah, I mean, could be an extended vacation in a certain sense, but
or even to go along with that, just to tag Julia on as well, because then you could send Lee Johnson as well. Because
there you go.
Lee Johnson, he clearly has the skills necessary to be great, but he's also really young as well. So I think he could benefit a lot from that. So then, okay, solid suggestion.
If Lee could cut a promo, he'd be a star right now. Like, he's got everything else. Like, he's really, really good in the ring.
Yeah.
I remember him having that fucking banger with Kyle Fletcher at an ROH Super Show. And he almost beat him. I mean, he really almost beat him. And I would have totally bought it if he did. And in fact, I was biting on those near falls. I mean, it was that good. And realistically, there's no fucking chance Kyle Fletcher's losing to Lee, but they made me believe, and Lee is fucking so good. Blurry Line adding why we got so much Stardom. We have Tekla and Taro Okada's humiliation kink to thank. Yes. I definitely got the impression with the greatest oversell of the year so far last night that Taro Okada really, really loves doing this shit.
Mask slap is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was so great. It was so funny.
His feet went up in the air.
Oh my God. And he's like cross-eyed and shit. Like, I mean, he got slapped with a fucking cloth mask. Like, the only thing that's more ridiculous that I've heard is the story about Owen Hart bumping because somebody hit him with a bag of popcorn on a house show. He actually took a bump. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good shit. Larry says Sky Blue is almost that role Dakota Kai had in NXT. She was rarely winning belts or winning matches, but she was 100% the glue of the division. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. But I feel like those people need to be rewarded, though, before it's too late. Like, Dakota Kai never got rewarded for it.
Yeah.
She was never NXT champion. She was never, she never even fought for any of the world titles, I don't think, ever. She was always helping Bailey.
Yeah.
And Io. And so she was never, the person that they were thinking of. And then when she went after the mid-card belt, she lost twice to Lyra Valkyria and then got released. So it's like, and now she's almost 40. Dakota Kai's my age, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, looks very young and very good for somebody who's our age. But that's up there. You know what I mean? You can't do everything that you could do at 27 when you were 40. So that's what I don't want to happen with Sky Blue. I don't want her to just be the glue for her whole career.
No, I don't either. Because she's better than that.
Right.
Larry says, I would see a storyline where Tekla is banned from Japan, so sends the sisters to do her bidding there. That makes perfect sense.
There you go.
Perfect sense. See? E. Polanco, on that concept, do you think Nick Wayne is improving his stock with his New Japan run? Yes, but I think Nick Wayne's stock is already sky high. I think he's so young. They know they can take their time with him. A couple years ago, the kid couldn't cut a promo. And now he's cutting pretty decent promos already.
Yeah.
He's bulked up already. This dude could literally retire from wrestling today and train wrestlers. Like, he's that good in the ring. Like, I've seen this guy live at Defy shows. He fucking beat Swerve in Defy. Like, that's how good he is. That's how much trust people have in him. So I think, of course, doing the Super Juniors tournament is great, but I don't think he even needed to do that to raise his stock. I think they already have big plans for Nick Wayne going forward. The fact that he was even in an angle with Christian Cage is huge, you know? Yeah. And then Blur Your Line makes a great point. All it shows is that Starlight Kid was a filthy cheater who used a loaded mask. And Yeti Malone adds, Starlight Kid had that Forbidden Door plate on the back of her mask, 100% a loaded weapon. Maybe it was.
Way to keep kayfabe alive, guys.
Yeah. Not key
I appreciate that, actually.
There's key fobs, and then there's kayfabe, and that's kayfabe. All right, moving along. We had Divine Dominion defending the tag titles, the women's tag titles, versus Thunder Rosa and Olympia. I would have loved to see this match. Just
my respects to Megan Bayne and Lena Cross right now. Give me a second.
We all pray. This is their world, and I am happy to be living in it. That's all I got to say.
It's so happy.
They just endlessly happy. They're really good in the tag. I mean, they're just really good. A good combination. I think what I see, like, something that happens as you age, and I'm sure, Shane, you've had this experience too. You're nowhere near as old as me, but you have aged while you watch wrestling. You watch it differently over time. And what I notice in Divine Dominion is that Megan is by far the superstar. You know, she's like the most well-rounded. You know, she's got probably the highest ceiling as far as her capabilities. But Lena holds everything together for that team. And she takes on that kind of veteran role with Megan. And I think she's helping Megan get better because Lena's been wrestling for like 9 years. I didn't realize that, but she has been. And she's already very good in the ring. Like, she's great. Like, I'm looking forward to the day they feud. That's a tag team that you should break up and have feud at some point, because who wouldn't want to see that?
Will happen. I think that'll happen when Penelope comes back.
Mm-hmm. That's probably why they're holding her off. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Lena Cross, I've said this a few times. And I just am more and more solidified in this opinion that Lena Cross immediately felt like she belonged and immediately felt important. Mm-hmm. Like, within a week of her debut. Like, they booked her 100% correctly. Like, she is exactly who she is supposed to be in AEW. Like, they booked her perfect, like, just chef's kiss to Lena Cross's booking so far. Because, like, it never felt like she was somebody like, oh shit, who is this coming from? Like, it just felt like she'd always been there. Mm-hmm. Like, as soon as she was part of Divine Dominion tagging with Megan, it just felt like she'd always been there. And so it was perfect. And there is no Marty Jannetty of their team, so to speak. There is no, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Like, they are the Young Bucks. They are the Uso. Like, they're both equally good in different ways. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, I agree with your assessment of it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, it was just so good. And then they both hit really hard. And then you put them in there with Thunder Rosa and Olympia. Olympia's strong as shit. And then
oh my God.
Thunder Rosa fucking fights like a shooter. Like, she's very similar to, like, Roosh in that way, where it's almost like Thunder Rosa forgets it's kayfabe and somebody's scared to tell her.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because when she hits, like, her chops, she doesn't even cock back that hard. That's how you know it's, like, legit. Because she's not coming from way back here to throw the chop. She's coming from, like, right here. It's like, pop. But that shit smacks. It's like, oh, like, and you can tell, like, the wrestlers who are taking it, they feel it.
Oh,
so, like, but you forget Thunder Rosa's trained as a shoot fighter as well. So,
she's
like,
done MMA and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that match so much. Like, I loved everything about it because it was all believable. Like, even with Thunder and Olympia being, like, smaller in stature compared to them, just the way they wrestle, like, makes it believable. You know what I mean? I don't want to bring up a certain someone that kind of causes the emotions to flare up, but I think there is a certain someone who I think that's what they're lacking. in comparison to somebody like a Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa's intensity and just the way she delivers the moves makes it more believable, despite her being small.
Right.
And I'll leave it
there. No, and I think like, you know, what I liked about Olympia and Thunder Rosa was they went right at him. Like they didn't act cowed by them at all, you know, and I thought Ty J did a really good job of that too, where they went right at him, you know, and, you know, yes, Lena and Megan are huge. They have aura for years, you know, but like at a certain point, you just got to get them to wrestle you, you know, and it doesn't mean they're going to beat you. Bleary Line says the women's tag match delivered 3 times more than we expected. It got time. I think that was a big deal, is that it was like a solid 12.
All of the women got time yesterday.
Yeah,
which
12
was
or 15-minute match.
Fantastic.
You know? Yes.
All of them got time. Like that was,
Yep. Kay says their entrance was so good. I love that they have dominion over the underworld and the heavens. Yes. And San Jose was on fire for the women all night. Yeah. And then I think Kaylee's talking about Cross versus Bane someday, like Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah.
It will.
Bleary says Megan is the star.
They ought to say the unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Exactly. Bleary says Megan is the star, but I feel like she's the most influenced by the person around her. The way that Megan is colored by how she works with Penelope versus when she works with Lena. Lena's kind of the tone setter for Divine Dominion. I totally agree with that. It just felt like what they were envisioning for Penelope and Megan. The minute that Megan was put with Lena, the vision was complete. Like it just, you know, and I think Penelope, the world is wide open to her. Like I would have loved to have seen her in the Survival of the Fittest match, quite honestly, because I would love to see Penelope have a TBS title run. She is very good. And, you know, I think she had a sprain.
I'm a fan of stables. And I'm a fan of stables. Like, yes, I do want Megan and Lena to have a match at some point, but I also would prefer told differently, tell it in a different way, but I would rather them have a Hangman Kenny relationship or a Kenny and Young Bucks relationship where it's like, yeah, we can feud and we can have banger matches against each other and stuff, but at some point we're going to get back together. Because I just like stables. You know, I feel like the more stables you have, the more story potential there is and the more shit there is for more people to do. Just period. Like that's just, you know, how it works. You know what I mean? Like, because then you can always have, okay, if the head of this stable and the head of this stable are fighting, let's say it's Penelope and Willow. Let's just say they're feuding for the TBS title, right? Okay, well, you have Harley and Chris who are on the Willow side, conglomeration. And then you have, you know, Megan and Lena who can be on Penelope's side. And so then you have matches with Chris versus Megan and Chris versus Lena and Willow versus, you know, and there's all these combinations of matches that you can have leading up to the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? And now everybody has something to do on TV every week. Like that, stables are one of the best things in wrestling ever. So I don't want them to like truly break up, but I do want to see the match.
Well, I think like you could even, you know, compare it to like Swerve and Ospreay last night, where it's like after the match and at times leading up to the match, you see that the respect is so genuine between them and that there is a lot of love between them, even though they're willing to kill each other to get what they need out of that situation.
But in that weird, you know, masculine way, you know, toxically masculine way, realistically. That is how, you know, you got to earn that brings you closer in a way. Like we were talking about it earlier. Like I had a next door neighbor growing up, you know, and we used to literally fist fight in the morning waiting for the bus. And then after school, go play video games together.
Yeah,
like
it was
never
like nothing personal. Yeah.
It was just like, okay, we got to get this out the way because you're getting on my nerves and, you know, whatever. So now it has to come to this. Like, there's no talking it out because we're men and you know, that's wrestling though. But we understand it. That's why it's funny. Like,
indeed,
like we get it.
Indeed. Tino says, no, Starlight Kid has too much respect for the tradition of Lucha Libre to load her mask Unlike some people at another company. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Bleary says, also massive respect to Thunder Rosa. She feels like she's truly herself again. She was immense in this match. I've not seen her like this in 4 or 5 years. Absolutely. Beef Mordo says Megan and Lena can be an Owen match next year. That's a great time to introduce that concept.
See, because then you could do it FTR style where they have a fucking banger and then they hug it out right at the end to get right back to doing it.
I forgot they had a match against each other in the Owen. That's right. They did. And it was great. Oh,
it was great. And it didn't break up the team. There was no is this going to cause weird tension going forward? No, they went right back to being FTR and being great. You could do that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of doing that, we get to the pay-per-view portion of the card. And we kick it off with, the match order for this show was insane. Just crazy.
It was perfect.
It really was perfect. By the end of this show, I felt like Kenny versus Zack Sabre had happened in another year. Because we had traveled so far from that match. Anyway, the match that kicked us off was Young Bucks versus Unbound Company, represented by Shingo Takagi and Teton, and El Sky Team, Mystico and Mascara Dorada, who are the new ROH World Tag Team Champions. And love to see Mascara.
Mystico, man. He's on a fucking crazy run. He's a 4X champ right now.
Yeah.
Because he's got the trios belts in CMLL. He's got the tag belts in Ring of Honor. He's got the junior tag belts in New Japan. And then what else? He's got one other set of belts too.
Does he? He has more than that? Holy shit.
I think he has four belts total.
Mm-hmm. I don't even remember what other one he has.
Tag, trios, tag, and something else. But yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah.
Shout out Mystico.
And Blurry Line throwing out, unlike the Penta versus Phoenix match where Eddie was trying to get Penta to kill his brother. Do you guys remember that when Eddie would just call Penta his best friend and he was trying to manipulate Penta to ditch Rey Fenix? This is when Eddie was still a heel, and they finally had a match. And Eddie was trying to get him to murder Rey. He's also the CMLL lightweight champion. Jesus Christ.
There you go. Thank you, Tino. Thank you. Yeah, see, I knew I wasn't making it up. I was like, you got 4 belts. I'm almost positive.
Kay says Sky Team's video package looked like a memorial video.
Did you sing, Kay? That's what we need to know.
Yes. Did you sing?
We didn't hear you on camera. We were listening for you specifically, but we didn't hear you over the crowd. So were you singing your heart up?
Yeah. Did you sing the what is that song called? Mi Morte? What's that song? The Mystico song?
Tino, help us.
Tino, help us, please. It was all the clouds. I assume that has something to do with the lyrics of the song. Mi muero. Okay.
Second played. How do you say
it? Obviously, I speak very fluent Spanish. So it's the Young Bucks. Anytime you get the Young Bucks in like a multi-team match, multi-man match, it's going to be so figured out and down to the millisecond, right? And there was something about this match, and it's going to sound negative when I first say it, but I don't mean it that way, is this wasn't quite as, like, a lot of Young Bucks matches are so fluid and so perfect, and this wasn't quite that. Like, the Sky Team was, like, having some communication issues on a couple spots or whatever. And so it made them come across a little stilted or whatever. But in my opinion, it actually added a little realism to... Because, like, I love the Young Bucks. They're my favorite tag team of all time. But, like, there's nothing realistic about what they do, right? Like, you wouldn't do any of those things, And so...
no, they are a real video game.
They are a video game. That is, they are a tag team, video game tag team.
Yep.
But what I liked about those, it's just a couple moments, too. It's not very much. It's just you're not used to seeing it in a Young Bucks match. There was just a little bit of like somebody was supposed to get like Enzuigiri'd off the, or not Enzuigiri'd, Hurricane Rana'd off the top to the outside. And whoever tried to do it, I think it was
Mascara Dorada.
Mascara Dorada was trying to do it to like Teton or something. And he slipped. And then he had to just kind of throw him over him. That's what you would do in reality. I know. And thankfully it ended safely. And it didn't even look bad in the end. Like, it was fine. But they did a lot of good improvisation. And then Blairy and I are very much the same. Shingo Takagi is one of the greatest ever. And to see him as kind of the big guy in this match was awesome. Because Shingo can get over in anywhere. Like, I love that he ate like how many super kicks before everybody else in the match super kicked him simultaneously.
That was tight.
There was so many fun spots. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, with the New Japan guys being the people I'm least familiar with, I was really impressed with Teton. I like his style. I also, in my weird mind, think it's funny that he wears a mask and trunks. I don't think I've seen that combination before. Most masked wrestlers wear long boys, so that's just a mental note. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Aside from that, I like Shingo Takagi basically being like, I am not conforming to what everyone else in this match is doing. I am doing what I do. And like Kay said, you can bring up her comment. Like Kay said, he grounded a match full of high flyers. That's exactly, I thought that was dope. Because it's like, a lot of times what you'll see in these matches where there's like a really big, like an obvious big man and a bunch of high flyers is you'll see the big man try to adapt to the high flyer style. You'll see Wardlow fucking do a tope or Brian Cage off the top rope. And it's like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Right. Whereas Shingo Takagi was like, no. I'm bringing you all to what I do. So I thought that was a dope way to, to do that.
Him throwing around those clotheslines looked devastating. Like when he hits them on those smaller dudes, it's crazy.
I thought the CMLL guys were going to win.
I did too.
Just because it seems like Mystico is on this crazy run. But I do think if we're treating Forbidden Door as part of canon and not as like its own thing, then it makes sense for the Bucks to win because they're going after Cope and Cage for the tag build. So they need, a big win to kind of stake their claim in that. So, so initially I was a little bit like, did the Bucks really need that win? But then when I thought about it, I was like, actually, yeah, they kind of did need that win. So,
yeah. Not gonna lie, Mask and Trunks has slightly perverted vibes.
You feel me, Blair? That's why I was like,
yeah.
And all black, huh? All right.
Big Porno says Teton was very impressive. I agree. The match felt more disjointed than the normal Bucks match. That said, I think Sky Team Bucks has potential for a long-term feud. Once they click, they will be magic. Totally. And like Mystico is a fucking legend. All right. I love this man. When he enters the arena, there's a totally different feel to the entire presentation, right? He carries that aura. He is one of the greatest draws in the history of wrestling. He is the greatest draw, probably, of the 21st century in wrestling in any country. Like, that's how good Mystico is and how popular he is. But he's never been super crisp. Like, he's just not that kind of guy. He's and that's fine. That's fine. It's everything he does looks great, but like, it just didn't feel as like, seamless as, just people who are like, got that very gymnast style, like makeup, Mystico doesn't have that. And so in a way it actually added to the match for me. Sky Team and Bucks could be better than Penta and Ray feud with them. Yeah, I mean, they could be if they were given time to really build it into a rivalry. They could do some crazy shit that would be truly memorable. Escalera de la Muerte win. Okay. I saw an Escalera de la Muerte match between the Bucks and the Lucha Bros at the first All Out live. The scariest match I've ever seen live. It was terrifying. It actually wasn't that fun. Because you realize when you're seeing it, how much danger these guys are putting themselves in, and how just one minor misstep could like end a career so easily. So I was literally just tense, like full of nervous tension the entire time watching that match.
So to go back to your earlier statement when you said how you watch wrestling a lot different when you're older versus when you're younger, that's the difference right there for me. Is I'm looking at stuff like I just watch it totally different, like, because it's like, I don't know, like, not in like a parasocial way, but I care about them as people.
Sure,
right?
Of course,
So now I'm sitting here, like, when I see them take a crazy bump, rather than being like, wow, that was very entertaining and that was a crazy bump, I'm sitting there like, how many years did that just take off of his career? Because he had landed so awkwardly, and you can't just, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I'm watching now. Or like when I see like super overly muscular dudes, like I make this joke in our group chat all the time. I'll be like, I hope they're taking their steroids safely, because we've seen how many people who didn't do that and it ended bad for them, you know? So I watch it a lot more responsibly now, which sounds funny because it's wrestling.
Yeah.
You know,
but you know, like you see,
it's like I care about the people I watch. I want them to have healthy lives and shit. I don't want them to be hurt just for my entertainment, even though it looks awesome sometimes.
Well, and you've
do
also
a really good job making things.
You've also lived long enough to see some of your heroes age, right? So like the Hardy Boys, look at them now. You know, Matt Hardy cannot walk. Like, look at Tanahashi coming down to the ring last night. Like, that dude cannot walk. He wasn't doing ladder matches. Like, that dude just jumped through the air a lot, you know, and landed on his knees over and over again.
That's it.
But that's all it takes, you know? That's all it takes. Blurry Line said, I did have that feeling a bit watching Swerve versus Ospreay. I'm thinking, did Swerve give himself the Eddie Guerrero blade job? Oh my God!
Literally what I said. I was like, he gave himself the Eddie Guerrero special.
Yep. We'll that he hit the Guerrero vein. Yeah, that was
holy shit,
nasty. Holy shit.
Oh man.
So the Bucks get the win. You know, it's very cordial, kind of between the three teams afterwards, and then they show you that the next match is Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. That is the second match at Forbidden Door. What the fucking fuck, right? Like, could headline a pay-per-view any other time, right? And this is the second match. Now, I've always heard you either want a main event or go first. Those are the best spots, right? Those are, because if you go first, you're setting the tone. And, you know, like, you're not having to be measured by all the other matches they've already seen. And if you're in the main event, you're regarded as a huge star, right? So for Kenny Omega and Zack Sabre to be second, I know that's not what Tony Khan was thinking. But for them to do this and then do what they did, which was absolutely tear each other to shreds, and just put on an incredible match. What is your opinion on Kenny Omega? Like, how do you feel about Kenny personally?
So I felt like, one, it just shows that, just to kind of address that first point as far as them going second, I think it just kind of shows how unselfish Kenny Omega is and how he could politic. You know, he is or was, you know, an EVP. I don't know what his actual current standing is outside of wrestler, but he still has influence, you know what I mean? Because he's Kenny Omega and he's one of the guys who started the company. So regardless of what his position is now, he has the influence to be able to pull his weight or throw his weight around if he wanted to. So I think it just shows that he's very unselfish when it comes to, you know, the betterment of AEW and, you know, not wanting to take away from the other people in the company. So that's first and foremost. Second, I think he's one of the greatest sellers of all time. I said this to you yesterday as well, because Somebody else, I can't remember specifically who it was now, but it was one of our friends. They mentioned how Kenny was looking kind of gassed over the last like few weeks, like after, you know, a brawl segment or even after some of his matches, he looked like hella gassed and he'd get on the mic and be breathing all hard and shit. And it's like, damn, like,
or even after a little brawl
really
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And he'd be breathing hard as shit. And it's like, okay, like, are you selling like the brawl? Because that is how normal people would act after a brawl. You would be breathing hard and a little, you know, winded and stuff. So that's reality based, but you're Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And you have 1 hour classics, you know, in your sleep. So like, what is it? But then yesterday, I think it just showed us that no, he's just a great seller because he didn't look winded in the match yesterday until he was supposed to look winded for the story. You know what I mean? Like once the announcer started acknowledging it is when he actually looked winded, but that was halfway through the match, you know? So no, I think Kenny's one of the greatest, man. Like I'm very happy that AEW is a thing so that I can get to enjoy how good he is. Cause I always heard about him when he was over in Japan and, you know, when he was doing different stuff with, you know, Ring of Honor a little bit, but mainly like his Bullet Club run and stuff like that. Like I was always hearing about him, but I never got to watch. So it's like to experience the greatness that is Kenny Omega, you know what I mean? And then same with Zack Sabre Jr., bro. Like it's the same thing with him. I always heard the name, always heard how great he was. He was killing it over in Japan. You know, he has a style that I really like, you know, like the really technical submission based people. Like I really like that style because not everyone can do it well. You know, a lot of people are very boring when they wrestle like that. So if you can do that in an entertaining way, it's incredible. And Zach is probably the best at that. Like, you know,
I don't think I've ever seen it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody better at that. No.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Like
that was part of Dan. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he might be the best submission wrestler ever. So it's like, yeah, you throw those two in and I get to appreciate it fully because they're doing it over here. So I can actually watch it. You know, it's like,
right.
Yeah, they're both amazing. They're both amazing. I was glued. Like my eyes were just like this the whole, you know, because you have to watch Zack Sabre Jr. matches like that. Like, because you will miss something if you look away for a second because he'll just fucking slip out of some shit and fucking get out. Like, and then all of a sudden you're in another, like, how the fuck did you end up in that hole? It's because he's Zack. That's why. Like, that's what he does.
Well, it's been interesting to see Kenny kind of leaning a little bit on his MMA because Kenny actually has done MMA too. He has a winning record in MMA, if you can believe it. You know, so like when people have called him, you know, Jim Cornette calling him Twinkle Toes, I'm like, he could literally beat the shit out of you, dude. Like Kenny Omega.
Kickboxing, if I'm not mistaken, right? Was it kickboxing or was it?
Might have been.
Or was it?
I mean, he's friends with Ibushi.
It might have been jiu-jitsu also because a lot of people do jiu-jitsu.
But like Kenny's, it's been cool. You know, he's doing those open palm strikes and shit. And he did that in the MJF match at Dynasty where he just like looked like he like threw wrestling out the window. Was like, no, we're going to fight now. And he just beat the shit out of him. I've been enjoying those moments from Kenny. This match, what I thought was interesting about it was that it wasn't a back and forth super even match. Like I thought Kenny dominated Zach a lot of the time and Zach would then like come back and he would like kind of create an opening for himself. Right. And he'd be on top again for a few minutes, but Kenny always took the advantage back and pretty much held it for the majority of the match. And
what I've noticed with Kenny when he's about to set up, when he's going to set up a trilogy with somebody, that's usually how the matches go. That's what I've noticed with Kenny. Because it was kind of the same thing with him and Ospreay the first time. He beat the shit out of Ospreay that first match in New Japan.
He killed Ospreay.
Then Ospreay had to adjust. And then Ospreay beat the shit out of Kenny in that second match. And now this third one that we all are assuming that they're building to will probably be the most even of the three. Because now they both know each other. I see the same thing kind of happening here.
Yeah.
Zach is going to get back against Kenny and he's gonna
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I know you now. Like, so now I can do it, and he'll get the best of Kenny, and then they'll have a blow off match at some point in the future. Hopefully,
that would be an amazing. Wrestle Kingdom match if Zach and Kenny did a rematch. I would love to see them do more together because their styles are so different that they're very complementary in that way.
Yep.
But this is the best Kenny's looked in the ring so far. I mean, like since the diverticulitis almost got punched out of his body.
See, that was the issue. That was the issue right there. Zach didn't do any submissions to the diverticulitis. You know what I mean?
It's a classic.
There was no diverticulitis-based offense.
He's from the UK. He's a gentleman. You know, I mean, he's not gonna put a submission on his diverticulitis, but he should have.
Well, welcome to America, buddy. We're ruthless over here. You gotta
Will Ospreay gets it. Blair Line says, if you told me Kenny versus ZSJ is the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, I'm ecstatic. We got it second. Yeah, exactly. Right. Blair Line makes the point that I was just about to make. Kenny has more in common with Danielson than we thought. He absolutely loves making you think everything's gone wrong and that he's in grave danger. Here's the cardinal rule that I have with Kenny Omega. He is my GOAT. He's my favorite ever. Okay. And he's absolutely, positively, in every regard, if he's saying something publicly, it's a lie and he's full of shit. He is always lying. And I have to believe that because otherwise I'd be trembling for him all the time. But Kenny has done so many times, said something and then directly contradicted it with something he did immediately afterwards. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but my favorite thing Kenny ever did, the ultimate troll move that Kenny ever did, was after they got suspended for Brawl Out, the Elite came back. And Kenny was talking to SportsIllustrated.com, and he says, you know, I just hope we can all put the thing in the past. I hope we can all just start to move on and maybe at some point work together. They were in Chicago that night. And Kenny fucking is doing all of Punk's moves and mocking the shit out of CM Punk. He bit somebody's arm. Like, Kenny is so full of shit, and I love it. They're so full of shit.
Buckshot lariat spot.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was so fucking funny. It's one of the best trolls I've ever seen. Oh, yeah. I loved it. Punk will never be able to get them back because they're funnier than he is. Punk's not funny. He's just like, he takes everything too seriously.
Yeah.
E. Polanco, Omega's angle and Ospreay's angle in Forbidden Door has me fully convinced that MJF drops the title to Kenny at Redemption and the passing of a torch match with Ospreay at Wembley. I'm hearing more and more people say it all the time, and I think so as well. Like, you saw MJF is clearly hurt. You know, he really didn't do very much in that match. They did such a great job of kind of keeping him out of the mix last night as far as the physical stuff. But my God, heal up, bud. You need to drop that title so that you can rest up and maybe have a match at All In. Another thing this match taught Larry was that ZSJ honestly should never have left the main event scene in New Japan. He's just far and above almost every other wrestler in the world. He really is. He really is. He beat the shit out of Gabe too in their Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, he did. He did. Kenny. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
He did.
Like, you think I'm just this flashy dude who can't really fight? Like, fuck you. Like, I will beat the shit out of you. Do you still see Omega going into All In as champ, or is he the first contender afterwards? He's champ. I think Kenny's going to have a very brief run with the title. I think that's the smartest thing to do at this point, because he has had to take some unscheduled breaks. But, you know, if he's champion, maybe 1 or 2 title defenses before All In, that seems manageable. And then he can go crazy with Ospreay in the rubber match. And Will wins the title from his greatest rival in his home country in Wembley. That's going to sell tickets, because that's the other thing. I've seen plenty of
like American Mentor or North American Mentor, you could kind of say, because it's like, those are always the two that were compared. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like Will Ospreay's the next Kenny Omega, like and now at this point it's who's better between the two. Like, he's caught up to where Kenny is, so now who's better? You know what I mean? So that's the part of the story too, because they've kind of put the beef behind them. Like they're friends now. And it's a competitive thing now. It's that competitive fighting Japanese spirit, you know what I mean, that they both learned in the dojo. Like, that's what this match is going to be. It's not about, like, I fucking hate you.
Yes. Well, I have two theories as to what could happen here. So, MJF versus Briscoe is Wednesday, right? Like,
yeah.
And he's clearly hurt, you know? So.
And MJF always loses when he's unprepared.
Yes. Good point. Great point. So, do they take the belt off Max this Wednesday and put it on Mark? And have Mark defend against Kenny in Montreal, and Kenny turns heel to take the belt off Mark.
So I was thinking either that. Yeah, I think it has to be Kenny, I guess. Because I was thinking somehow you turn Ospreay heel, like having him maybe fully commit to being a Death Rider. You know what I'm saying? And he somehow, but that doesn't fit for the story. Like, there's no way to make that happen at All Out or All In, whichever one it is. So yeah, I think you have to do it with Kenny. Kenny has to be the one. But I guess, how do you turn Kenny heel, though? Like,
I know one way. You reunite him
like
with Don Callis.
Is he, or is it? Do you just have a thing where he's like, he knows he's near the end of his career, so he's so desperate to get the title back that he will take shortcuts that he normally wouldn't take. Like, even if that's not going back with Callis, maybe he low blows Mark Briscoe in an act of desperation.
Right.
And maybe Kenny's not, again, all motivation based, like we were saying, because they don't do just, for the most part, they don't do straight up heels and baby faces. Everyone is working off of their own motivation, and you can either agree with it or disagree with it as a fan. So with that being said, it could be a situation where Kenny is not overtly being heelish, but it's like a desperation thing because he knows, like, I'm nearing the end. So okay. Low blow to Mark Briscoe when the ref's back turned or whatever. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't feel great about it, but he's the champ and he'll do what he's got to do to keep the, you know what I mean? You could do something like that too, to where it's like, I don't think people want to boo Kenny either.
Yeah, that's the hard part. But Kenny is showing some signs of that manic freakazoid, like, heel guy. He even did in the match last night. There's certain things that certain facial expressions that he has when he's a heel that he doesn't usually do as a babyface that I noticed last night.
Yeah. That's true.
Catching up with the chat, we were one abdominal stretch away from catastrophe. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, look, he did an octopus stretch to Kenny on a table. It's 10 times worse on a table. Nobody knows why, but it is. Tino says, I'm upset we didn't see Kenny on a stretcher. We're so used to it. You know, we've just come to expect it. Like, it's comforting. Blurry Line, I'll take my world title shot this Wednesday as MJF's actual kryptonite. Hopefully this time he at least heard it, so he doesn't show up and didn't know the match was going to happen. Beef Mortos, did Will have Don Callis in his corner during their second match? He did, and he hit Kenny with a screwdriver, if you'll recall. So I think there's a lot of ways this could go, but I think you may recall the first time Kenny won the world title, he won it by joining Don, and they literally revealed their partnership during the match. And he hit Mox with, I think, a microphone.
So that was slightly before I started watching.
Okay. But same issues. Like, Kenny was tripping about, like, he had already tried to win the world title and lost a couple times. And so that was the impetus for him to turn heel. And so I'm wondering if that'll be the impetus this time.
No, I think the motivation stays the same. The only part I'm iffy on is if he rejoins with Callis.
Yeah.
Only because why the fuck would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, if, like, this man has screwed you over so many different times, like, over the past few years, like, again, AEW does a better job of making their character motivations make sense. So they would have to do some hella storytelling to make it to where Callis and Omega could be cool again after. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was so much to be done with the Young Bucks before that was believable again. Same with Hangman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jack Perry. Like, all of these loose ends had to be tied up in a way that made sense before they could all be the Elite again.
Right.
So I don't know if with all the changes that have to happen with the title and everything, I don't know. Like, they'd have to, I'm not going to say it's not possible, but they would have to do some crazy storytelling in order to make that make sense.
Yeah.
I think he could be a heel without this, for sure.
Oh, I do too. And, you know, you had said before we went live, you said this so well, that AEW is very character motivation based. They're not like, there's very few like just heels and baby faces. There's a lot of tweeners who can be motivated in one direction or the other, depending on the circumstances. And maybe you relate to somebody as a heel in one situation, but as the baby face in another. And that's what's so great about AEW. You know, it's totally different than almost any North American wrestling I've ever seen, you know. Larry Line says, all in Wembley tradition says the protagonist must be conflicted during the world title match. MJF with Cole the first time, basically wondering if his friendship is more important than the world title, literally saying Adam can take the title because he didn't want to lose his friend. Danielson conflicted between continuing to fight or keeping himself healthy for his family at ringside. We are going to have a moment where Will and Kenny have moral dilemmas and opportunities to cheat. Big time. And yeah, I'm not sure Kenny goes super mega heel, because if he's only going to be champ for 1 month, what's the point of that? You know?
Right. I'm saying, I think it might be more of he's desperate because he knows it's nearing the end, and he's not willing to all the way accept that, even though he knows that's the reality. So he's getting more and more desperate, and it leads him to doing heelish things.
Yes.
You know, I could see that being the story more, where it's like, come on, Kenny, you're better than this. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Like, where the fans are reacting to him like that, and he's looking out like, I know y'all, but I need this belt though, y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Blairy says Mox is obviously going to be involved, maybe giving Will a chance to cheat that he doesn't take. Kenny might be the one who does take it. Yeah, and that is a parallel to their second match, because Kenny could have cheated to beat Will, and he didn't, and then Will cheated to beat him. So, you know, kind of, and you know, when Moxley walked into the room where they were talking to each other, he said, "We've all got skeletons in our closet."
Can you bring up Beef Mortos' comment also? Because I think that is, right there. I think that is probably the most likely way that Callis and Kenny could rejoin each other in a way that makes sense. I think this is the best shot.
Yeah, so Beef Morto says, I think Kenny rejoining DC has to coincide with the inclusion of the DC family, so they both desperately falling into each other's arms. Yeah, if there's like a civil war in the Don Callis family or something, and it's just Don and Kenny, that's what I kind of see more of. And so a lot would have to happen. And I'm glad we talked this through, because it's making me change my thinking a little bit. What I have noticed is that Tony's storytelling seems to be a little more grounded in reality than big dramatic swings. You know, they don't do that as often. So we'll see. But yeah, when Don loses control of everything, he goes back to what he knows works, his most reliable cash cow. And look, Don Callis, his whole thing is that he's not over Kenny Omega. Like, every time Kenny's name comes up, Don just goes into a rage. He has been for years, you know, so
because he's been trying to replace Kenny Omega with everybody else, and it hasn't been the same. Because if you think about it, Don Callis is yet to bring the world championship into the family since Kenny's left. No one has been the AEW world champion. They've been other world champions. They've been IWGP world champion, you know, stuff like that, but they haven't been the AEW world champion. So ever since Kenny left, they've had every other belt except that one. They've had the trios, TNT, international. They've had Continental. They've had every other title except the world. So if he wants that world title, he's got to go back to Kenny. And I think it does coincide with the implosion, because they're already planting those seeds. Like, we've already had two leave, two of the main hitters. We've already had both of them leave. So you got Takeshita's gone. Andrade just left. We'll get to how that happened, when we get to that match.
Mhm.
But then you also have how they've been treating Roppongi Vice. They're gonna leave because they're being shit on. Like, you get out of here. This isn't about you right now. Blah blah blah. And it's like, well, I thought this was Don Callis family segment. We're part of the. Are we not part of the?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they're
you saw
gonna
Trent in the background when they were picking the team.
Yeah.
And Trent was like, "What about?
Yeah.
What about me? Like,
yeah." And then last week when they were in the promo when MJF was like, "Yeah, whatever, kid," to Kevin Knight, like Callis made Trent and Rocky leave.
Yeah.
He was like, "You guys get out of here." Callis made them leave. So it's like, okay, so you're disrespecting them. They're going to leave. Andrade just left you. Takeshita just left you. There's obviously issues between Kevin Knight and Kyle Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
They have been having this kind of weird tension probably over the TNT title because Kyle Fletcher's like, "That's my belt that you're carrying." And he's like, "Well, I got it now, bitch. So what's happening?" You know what I mean? So they got that thing going.
Yeah.
Okada wants a world title shot. So that's going to be conflict with him and Kevin Knight. So like literally everyone that's still there has a reason to not like someone else.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis is going to go with Kyle Fletcher because that's his boy, and that's why he's there in the first place. So that's his boy. Jake will likely go with them too because he tags with Mark Davis. Everybody breaks up. Who do you have left? You got to go back to Kenny.
Well, yeah. Jake could stay and be the muscle for Kenny too. I mean, like, he could, but it could go so many different ways. But Blurry makes a great point. I think TK switched to a more realistic storytelling vibe after the Devil storyline, and the various hostile takeover storylines didn't work out. I think you're right. Tino says Rocky Romero is always the Rodney Dangerfield of the group. He gets no respect. Next match for the Continental Championship, Jon Moxley of the Death Riders defeated Bandito, which I expected, right? What a match, though. For them to have this kind of showing right after Kenny versus Zach was pretty tall order. And when was the last time you saw Jon Moxley get press slammed by somebody?
I mean, like that. I think, and this is where the Styles makes matchups thing comes into play a lot because, like you said, they had to follow Kenny and Zach. They had just as good of a match, I will say, but presented completely differently.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
A totally different wrestling match than the one we had just seen, but equally as good. That's hard to do.
And both matches are two guys with disparate styles, totally different styles. Like, so
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like Mox is straight up brawler / MMA influence.
Yep.
And then you have Bandito, who is like a strong man / high flyer. So somehow that works. You know what I mean? Like, it's incredible. I love it.
It was such a good match. And Mox, rips the mask and, almost ripped the mask too much when he first ripped it because we saw
I was almost like,
I was like, how are they going to finish this match?
Yeah. Like even one of our friends, Chrissy, she was like, I don't want to see his face.
No.
Because it's like, it does kind of take away from the mystique, you know what I mean? Like of the character, like and who they're, and that's the way he wants to be presented. So I want to respect that also. Like, a lot of those luchadors, they are never unmasked in public. They never take pictures out of their mask. And part of that is tradition, but some of that also is to maintain some anonymity so that they can live a regular life. Right. So, you know what I mean? Like that's part of it too. Like, so, I want to respect that as much as possible. So it made me feel weird, I'll say, to see that much of his face exposed. I was just like, this is kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he covered up pretty quick. And then thankfully, as Tino points out, Mox knew he was going to give Bandito a crimson mask anyway. So Mox pile drives Bandito on top of the diamond plated stairs. Bandito's bleeding buckets. And, he came out in all white. So you're like, well, okay. Like We know where this is going. Mox, I don't think Mox ever actually bled his own blood in this match, but his head is covered in Bandito's blood.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that quite the way it was. Bandito.
It was, usually unless they'll do that spot where they'll take the blood and then wipe it on themselves to do the war paint thing. You know what I mean? Conquering my enemy, that type of thing. No, this was just naturally leaking all over the place.
Yes. And
there's only a few bloody spots like that last night.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And Mox gave Bandito a lot. I mean, I think Mox is a big fan and really trying hard to get Bandito over. But Bandito's you notice, even if he's not on TV very much, he's on every pay-per-view because he's that good. You have to have him. He reminds me so much of Kenny Omega in 2017, 2018, where he's just at his absolute physical prime and he can do anything,
or almost like a 205 Live Neville.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Neville.
Right. Where he can do anything. Right.
Could do just anything he even thought about. He was like, okay, I'm going to just do this now. And I'm going to flip 8 times before I land. Yep. Here we go. Done.
Done. Yep.
What?
Yeah. Versus Mustafa Ali, those matches. Oh my God. They're so good.
Yeah.
Tino says, I love this match, but Bandito's got to stop taking L's. I agree. I think he's taken enough. He's taken 3 consecutive singles losses on pay-per-view. He lost to Andrade. He lost to Swerve. And, no, he didn't lose to Swerve he did lose to Swerve on pay-per-view. And then he lost to Mox. So it's not like he's losing to jabronis, but at the same time, he is the ROH champion. I think if you want that to mean something, you got to probably stop having him lose so much.
I think because we were kind of talking about this earlier with Mercedes, how sometimes people would make the Mercedes Hogan joke, right? And we were like, it's actually not realistically at that point, anywhere really even close to it with Mercedes. No. Because for one, she will lose big matches. She did it even during her big reign. She never won the world title. Right. So that's one thing. She dropped all the belts, in losses. So that's another thing. But if anyone gets the Cena wins Lowell treatment in AEW, it's Mox. Mox wins Lowell is way more appropriate than anyone else. That's the only... That's kind of my only issue with Mox matches is he is so protected to where it's like he's gonna win. It's like it's so that's the only issue I have with his matches. It's like going in like Mox is winning this. It's just how is he gonna win? That's my only problem with Mox matches. There's not enough unpredictability with it because he wins so much.
I go
and he's not the only one like that.
Yeah. I go back and forth with it. I think this Continental title run has been one of his best title runs ever, including all of his world title runs. It's a great belt for him because he works with the time limit so well. He works with the, it can only happen. There's nobody around the ring, that kind of thing. All of that really does work with his character. But I think, you got to be careful with feeding everybody to Mox. He doesn't need to be fed, for one. Man's as over as he's ever going to be. There's no getting him more over at this point.
Right. You can only use him to get other people over at this point. That is right. That is what he needs to be doing with his status.
But he, I would say at the end of the day, this match, every time Bandito does lose, it's such a narrow loss. He ended up just passing the fuck out. I liked when he prayed to God and then he tried to jump on, drop Moxley on his back. It's this or nothing. And Mox held on and he was fucked. But great match. I want to see Bandito win some more. Tino had said, where did Tino say that? I love this match. Oh, okay. But Bandito's going to stop taking L's. Basically, Tino had said Bandito could be in the main event picture. And I think he will be. I really do. I think he will actually, I believe he will be world champion at some point. I think that's how much Tony Khan believes in him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think there was one match where I think we were watching together, and I think we both like came to that conclusion at the same time. We were both like, I think Bandito just proved in this match that he's going to be in the main event scene like really soon. Like I can't remember exactly what match.
I think it was an ROH main event that we watched or something. Yeah.
Something like that. If we were all watching as a collective and we both like said it at the same time, we were both like, yo, Bandito's going to be one of them guys in the very near future. So yeah. Blurry Line said, I will say I think the mask was ripped as much as they wanted to because it looked like there was a point where the mask was double stitched to prevent it getting fully torn off. That actually makes a lot of sense. Like it can't go any farther than this point, you know? But yeah, I saw more of his face than I've ever seen before. And that was a little weird. Yeah. Mox did bleed from his eye a little. He had a black eye and a cut later in the show. Okay. Kaylee agrees Bandito needs to stop losing. We're one big win from Bandito in the world title picture again. I totally agree. I think, don't keep putting him in high profile losses. Him and Brody are kind of doing the same thing right now where like they're being put in high profile matches, but they're not winning any of them. And the only difference for me is that Bandito's a world champion, and do you really want to do that to your world champion? Get the belt off him maybe and like have him go through the rigors of AEW. But El Polanco asks, is the losing streak a build up to a Bandito heel turn breaking up Rodito? I don't think so. I really don't believe there's any chance Bandito turns heel. Because I just don't. I think Bandito is like he's a great wrestler for kids. He's a great wrestler for he's so marketable. And they've only started what they're capable of with him. But you know how WWE's always tried to replace Rey Mysterio or whatever. Bandito's literally that guy. Like he's your envoy to like your Latin American fan base and your Mexican fan base. And he is somebody that kids could love. I don't know why they've never made any action figures of the guy because they'd sell so well. Like he's one of the coolest looking guys in the company, but yeah, so we're going to keep going because we got so much more to cover. Next match was Shota Umino versus Pac. Pac was wearing the Owen Hart short boys with the, he was wearing, in like half of a onesie with the shorts. Pac is funny. Like he will just wear whatever the fuck he feels like wrestling.
He doesn't give a shit
he doesn't
anymore. They need, you know what? I'm pissed at AEW about one thing. Where's that Bastard shirt? BASTAD that Pac wears? Where the fuck is that? Because maybe AEW didn't make him that shirt and that's why they don't sell it, but they're leaving money on the table. Cause I would buy at least one of those. Fuck Your Mama said 2 times said great match by Bandito and Mox. This is Bandito's 6th singles loss this year, which is a lot more than he lost last year. It's just a lot more. So, they got to be careful. And Tino also said Bandito is so over in Mexico too. I do remember just hearing this much of a teeny tiny bit of a conversation Meltzer was having that every time Bandito's announced at a CMLL show, the tickets sell faster. Like that he's a big draw down there. So, come on. Blairy makes a good point though. Bandito is such a performer with such a connection. He can take 4 or 5 losses, get 1 win, and he's already back to where he was before. Though I do think we need to start getting him W's. That's where I'm at. I think it's okay that he's gotten where he is, but it should stop here. And let's start building him up again. So Pac versus Shota. Shota comes out in that very over-the-top babyface way. This was a really fun match. It wasn't as good as the two before it, but I mean, come on. You got four of the best wrestlers in the world.
I mean, they still did. They still had some takeaways, though.
They did.
They had some takeaways from a few of those, a few different things that they did in the match that make it memorable in its own way. So they did enough to stick out, or to stand out, I should say.
Well, and that DDT Shota does through the ropes, like onto the apron. Awesome looking. But Pac doing
spot where he awesome bombed him.
Pac doing the awesome bomb to Shota. The way they filmed that was so brilliant because it looked like a horrible mistake had just happened. Like it felt, because it's not the way they usually film a spot like that. And so they were almost like on the wrong camera, and they had to quickly cut to a camera. It was like, oh no, this wasn't supposed to happen. It just had that feeling to it, which made it 10 times scarier. Not to mention Shota did not go through that table flat. Like, he went through on his side. Like, good Lord. The fact that he got back up I was just so happy he was okay. Couple things. Shota was over with this crowd. And I loved that the Death Riders came out at the end. Shota gets the win. We predicted that. Well-deserved win. I loved the kind of bullying that Pac was doing right before he got his ass kicked. And that was it, And
see, now I'll ask you this, and again, this is where commentary could do a better job of, sort of explaining the details of the relationship. Because basically all I understand from watching the show yesterday is that Shota Umino was Moxley was essentially his mentor.
Yep.
And if I'm remembering correctly, Shota Umino was also on the Death Riders team at one of the other Forbidden Door pay-per-views.
He was, yeah.
Okay.
So when
that's
Mox...
basically it. That's kind of all the context they really gave. And then all of a sudden it was Gabe Kidd went over there, attacked him, said he's not a Death Rider anymore. So I'm like, okay. So was Shota Umino a member of the Death Riders this whole time? And I just didn't know? Or
he was like the heir apparent almost, in a way. So when Mox left WWE before he went to AEW full time, he had come out at Double or Nothing. We knew he was going to be a part of the company. But that summer he did the G1. Shota was a young boy at the time. He was like, just baby fat Shota Umino. He looked like a kid. And after Mox wrestled his first match, he takes Shota Umino back with him to be his young boy. And Mox gives a series of some of the funniest fucking interviews I have ever seen. It shows the genius of Jon Moxley. It's like, It was so refreshing. And every one of them, Shota is like, had the shit kicked out of him and is out on his feet and could barely stand. But Mox starts calling him Shooter. He just like, it's so great. Like, dude, go on YouTube, type Mox Shooter G1, watch all of those interviews. They're so good. Like, so fucking funny. And so that's where the lineage between the two of them begins, is in 2019. And then at Forbidden Door a couple years later, Shota is there for Forbidden Door and teams with Mox as part of the Blackpool Combat Club, I think. And then it carries on from there. And at some point, Mox kind of turned his back on Shooter. And so that's where it is at this point. That's why Mox came in the ring, and had that little bit of like, fuck you look on his face. And then Tanahashi.
But what's the back? So did he turn his back by sending Gabe Kidd to beat him up? Like, was that the back?
No,
or was it
no,
before?
They had Shooter, I think, when Mox won the title, Shota. So Shota in Japan right now is kind of the equivalent of babyface Roman Reigns, where it's like a guy who got pushed too hard. Everybody felt he was getting shoved down their throat. They wanted anybody else. They didn't make the mistake of putting the belt on him. But during that time where he's being pushed too hard, he called Mox out and said he wanted a shot at that title, and Mox said, "You're not ready." You know, I think he even said maybe you'll never be ready or something like that. And then it carries on from there. It kind of grew from there, and to where now Mox is just sending people after him, you know. But yeah, so Mox is the villain of the story for sure. But Shota Umino wins. The Death Riders kind of surround him for a minute, and then the ace comes out. This man cannot walk. Those knees are fucked. Like, this man, Kay and I were talking earlier today, this man gave his entire body to wrestling. Like,
yeah,
he's going to need 2 knee replacements, like, for sure. Like,
I was just going to say, he's going to need that Lieutenant Dan special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, seeing him with the short hair, Blurry Line said he looks slightly like Elvis. He kind of did. Yeah. Tino says, I really like Shota. I actually liked Shota in this match. Normally, I'm pretty meh on Shota, so that was a big positive in his eyes. You know what I think it is Shota understands how to work to an American audience really well. It's the Japanese audience that he struggles with. His dad also is the ref who wears the red shoes.
Red shoes.
Yeah, his dad is red shoes.
I was just 8 years old when I learned that.
Yeah, okay. So he's been accused of being a Nepo baby as well. And, you know, I think he's actually pretty good. It's just, he's kind of in an unfortunate spot, and he got positioned badly, and it's kind of haunted him, you know?
Yeah, anytime nepotism is involved, you're fighting an uphill battle. Like, it's very rare when that doesn't work against you, at least in the eyes of your peers.
Yeah.
Like, within the business, obviously it's going to help you because it helps you get your foot in the door a lot earlier than most people, and you have connections that most other people don't have. So from a business aspect, obviously it works. But from from respect from your peers, though, usually it works against you. Like, I think kind of the only exceptions we've really seen to that are maybe Randy Orton and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Like, and the Wyatt, Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, I would say they weren't really linked with IRS like that. But I think that's just because their presentation was so different.
Right.
But like, outside of that, basically everybody else, it's like they had an uphill battle that they had to kind of fight. And, like, eventually it was like, oh, okay, you're your own thing now. Like, I looked at Cody as Dusty's kid, like, up until very recently. Like, even after all of his stuff that he was doing in the 2010s and when he left WWE and formed AEW and came back, just couldn't look at him as, like, you're Dusty's kid, bro. Like, that was just always, like, it's very recent where I don't look at him like that. I'm like, okay, you're your own guy now.
Right.
Whereas Gold never really looked at him like that.
Right.
He was always his own guy to me.
Yeah, and Cody made it such a central part of his character, too.
Yeah.
Tino brings up a good point. The refs don't really have pull like that, though. Like, Aubrey couldn't be like, here's my nephew, push him to the moon. So the dojo don't fuck around. So if Shota didn't have it, he wouldn't have been accepted into the dojo.
Right.
And that's where I kind of stand up for shooters sometimes, is like, when you look at that dude last night, he's jacked. He's jacked. He's got a great look. He's just figuring out the temperament of kind of his character.
Yeah, I was gonna respond to that, actually. I was gonna say, if Aubrey's nephew signs, they better fucking push him. That's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. If Aubrey told me to push her nephew, I would. Yeah. Okay, we got to keep moving here. So Shota wins. Tana kind of helps him see the Death Riders off. And next match, we come to the women's world title match. It's the Toxic Spider Tekla versus Starlight Kid. I'm going to imagine you probably didn't know a lot about Starlight Kid.
I did not. Shout out to Antoine, because he was telling a lot of us about Starlight Kid. He's kind of our resident Stardom and New Japan expert. So if you don't know something, definitely ask him about it, and he'll give you the rundown. So he was giving us a lot of, the history and just telling us that Starlight Kid is dope, and that he was just really looking forward to the match. So I knew it was going to be good going into it. but I didn't know like what her style was or anything like that. I kind of assumed she was a high flyer, because just masked wrestlers and high flying goes together. It doesn't really matter where you're from. If you're Japanese, if you're, a Mexican luchador, even United States wrestlers who have worn masks historically have also been high flyers. So it's like, I didn't know what to expect, but she had a lot more submission game than I expected, which again, I love, you know what I mean? So that was dope. And then this had a really good story going into it because Tekla was just basically on some, y'all fired me and now I'm here to cause havoc to everybody. Like, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Whoever wants it, up. And so Starlight Kid is the one who stepped up. But it seems like it's leading beyond this. Like, this isn't a one and done Forbidden Door only thing. It seems like Tekla versus Stardom is about to be a thing for the foreseeable future, which I think is super fire. Like, that's just such a cool story to tell, So, yeah. But I love the match, though. Like, I love the match because, like, they wrestle in such a way, again, it's all about how you wrestle. Your size won't necessarily matter because Tino's bringing up a good point, but and it's exactly the point that I'm about to make now. Both these women are extremely small, but their aura makes them feel 10 feet tall. 100%. I didn't realize that one of them was, I think they said 4'11" and the other one's 5'1" or something like that.
Yeah, Tekla's 5'1" and Starlight Kid's 4'11". Yeah.
And until they said it, I was like, there's no way that's true. Like, and I see them in the ring. Like, I know how tall they are in comparison to the ropes and what other wrestlers look like in comparison to those ropes. Just doesn't feel like it when they're wrestling. They wrestle like they're giants. And I don't mean as far as like the power style. I just mean as far as their presence, their aura, dare I say, to sound like a youngin'. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they bring, and it just, it makes them feel like they're just as big as anybody else in that ring. Like, that was a fantastic match. Like,
I haven't seen Tekla show that much desperation before.
Right.
She looked like she was kind of panicking a few times where she really thought she was on the verge of defeat, and you never have seen that from her ever in AEW. She has kind of, in a weird way, and it's only weird because she's so small, I guess. And she's wrestled people who are so much larger than her, like Jamie Hayter and Statlander, multiple times Statlander, and so many others. But she's been a dominant heel. Like, she's really looked unruffled by any of these people, And
that's why it shocked me when they said that she was 5'1", because I'm like, she wrestled Stat, who is like, she looks 5'9", 5'10" in the ring. I don't know if she's actually that tall because Megan Bain's 5'8". So Chris might be like 5'7", 5'8", but that's still significantly taller than 5'1". But that doesn't click in my mind, though. They are the same size in my mind. Or Tekla's like a little bit smaller. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and like when she wrestled Jamie, she wrestled Jamie twice. She lost once and beat her once. But like, Jamie sold for her like she was a fucking giant, because Tekla lays her shit in. Like, the reason her stuff in the ring looks good is because it's kind of connecting. Like, she lays that shit in.
Oh, you wrestle.
Yeah, it's a stiff style. Same for Starlight Kid. And
yes,
I thought, I had said on the preview and prediction show that I thought there was an outside chance Starlight might win. And I will say, good job to AEW and whoever for making it feel like that was even a possibility. Because there were so many times where it really looked like Starlight had her. And she just barely escaped. And then she finally wins in just the most brutal, like desperate, I have to kill you now. Like, I have to kill you to keep you down. But I'm going to. And she hits like 2 curb stomps and pins her. And then she tears her mask off. And you're like, oh, shit, dude. Oh, shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of that yesterday. There was a lot of mask disrespect yesterday.
And then she went to the scrum with the mask on. and did the interview with the mask on.
That I didn't see. That's crazy.
She hit Taro Okada with the mask and knocked him silly.
He took a bump. She smacked him so hard with that cloth mask that it actually knocked him off of his feet so hard to where his feet flew in the air, actually.
Yes.
And then he landed on the chairs and was knocked out for a minute. And then he tried to get up and was cross-eyed. Amazing selling. He was really trying to put Tekla over strong.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And it was silly, but it was also great. He's been such a good sport with her kicking his ass. I think he probably likes it. But who wouldn't? Honestly?
Is he the dude that fired her?
Yes. Yes.
And he shoot beat her. Or I mean, she shoot beat him up, right?
No, she's never like beat him up. Like it's all an angle.
That was what that was all angle. Like even when she got fired originally. So
her contract expired and she wanted to leave, and so they did an angle where she got fired. So all of this is an angle.
Got it. Okay,
but that says something right there, though, that you thought there was even a chance this was real. You know, like that it started off that way or something.
No, yeah, like I literally up until right now thought that like she got into it with the owner of Stardom or whatever and like attacked him, and so he fired her as a result of that, and so she had to leave, and she ended up coming over here. Like I literally thought that was the story. That should be the story. That should be what everyone just rocks with.
Yes. Tino says, well, Starlight Kid has a win over Tekla, so she knew Starlight Kid could potentially beat her. I mean, she looked like, fuck, I got to figure this out. I don't know how to figure this out. And I've never seen Tekla that flustered before. Blurry Line, Tekla, massive balls and aura make her about 6'3".
That's a fact.
E. Polanco, I just want some sort of way to get Saya Kamatani on North American TV. Me too. She has wrestled for MLW very recently, and we need to get her in AEW because I'm pretty sure of all the people in Stardom, Saya Kamatani, aside from Tekla, Saya Kamatani would get over massively. So yeah, they need to work on that. They need to get Saya on AEW.
Do very well in AEW, like because they understand the culture more.
Yep.
I think so. Like even the Joshis who do well in other places, they don't like, I don't know. Like a lot of it is very, for the lack of a better term, racially stereotypical. Whereas they're all presented very differently in AEW. Like Hikaru Shida and Mina Shirakawa are very different wrestlers.
Yes.
And they're presented very differently. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I feel like that's how the rest of the Joshis are when they come to AEW as well. Like Micah, different presentation than the rest of them. What was the other Joshi's name who was in the tournament? Who's in the Owen Hart?
Oh, Hazuki.
Same.
Yeah.
Different very presentation, different. Than the rest of them. Like all of them are different than the rest, which is
not all Japanese women are exactly the same? That's
exactly. That's wild. It's like how life is, So it's cool to actually see that booked like that instead of, everything having to basically be the Kabuki Warriors type presentation.
Yeah, the Kabuki Warriors. Are you like that name? Managed by Paige, like that. That was at the very end of me watching WWE, and I just remember being like, "This is so fucking stupid." When she got that numero dos in and spun her, yeah. Oh, yeah, that submission that she had her in where she was spinning her. Oh my God. Okada had a little cartoon star circling around his head. I'm sure Taro Okada totally hates getting beat up by Tekla, Tino says. Whereas Blurry Line says, I think this is his birthday present to himself. Shane, you said it's your birthday week. When's your actual day?
Actually, a week from today, July 6th.
Okay, July 6th. All right. I didn't get fired from Japan. Okay, I got fired from Japan. I was there live when she gave that promo, and I was sitting in the front row of that section about 25 feet away from her. And
you so made cool. a few TV appearances that day. You were getting over.
Yeah, I fucking hung out with Mox for a minute. He smells great. Blurry Line says Tekla's frustrations were real in real life, like her idol killer gimmick was based in reality, but she was a pro through her departure. Yeah, I could see that. Taro Okada's relationship with Tekla is akin to Tarantino's relationship with the leading lady's feet. Tito Ibarra probably talking about Kabuki Warriors. That name was, glad it's gone. And then Tino says, we'll schedule you a beating with Tekla for your birthday. So, July 6th. All right. We got to get Tekla on short notice here. We might have to kick in a little extra.
Or, okay. Ray's healthy enough. She can beat me up. Megan Bain. That would be, those two would be preferable. Layla or Megan. Either one of you want to assault this way. Yeah. I will not call the cop. You.
Okay. So next match was Cage and Cope versus the Dogs. And it feels weird to say this, and I mean no disrespect in saying so. This was the worst match of the entire show, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad match.
So this was my I have to take the dog outside to go for a quick walk match. Because this was the one that I was like, I know this one has the most almost guaranteed finish. I knew that Cope and Cage were going to retain.
Yeah.
I just knew that the War Dogs weren't going to beat them. Yeah. So, and I like the War Dogs, you know what I mean? I actually am a fan of them. So it's not like I was because I didn't think it was going to be good. This one was a super predictable outcome. So I was like, I can afford to miss this one. So, so I saw the end of it. I saw the best part about the match, which was the end. So I saw that part live. And I was very happy about it. But the actual match itself, you're going to have to kind of fill me in on what happened there.
Well, it was just a very typical WWE style tag match, which is fine. Work slow, kind of. It was kind of out of. It was very atypical of the rest of the show. It was a little slower, and that's how Cage and Cope work. They worked that way when they were younger too. You start slow, you build up, and it was fine. And all of it was good. I mean,
20 years. It's like you know what you know. Well, 30 years.
Yeah, actually. And you're in your early 50s. You got to take care of yourself too. And so they got all the heat on. They were double teaming Christian Cage for a long time. Cope comes in. Standard WWE kind of tag match. And everybody who listens to this show knows I am the first person to tell you I get most things wrong. But on Friday, I called almost exactly how this would happen. Not exactly, though, but almost exactly. What did happen was that there was a ref bump. And as soon as that ref bump happened, I'm like, here we go. And Finley has the shillelagh. He hits Christian with it. He's about to hit Copeland with it. The lights go out. They come back on. The Bang Bang Gang is standing at the top of the entrance. I'm like, this is where it happens. This is where it happens. And they show in back of the Dogs, Jay White's right, or really just David Finley. And what I love is Finley actually did this really well. He's like, fuck, he's behind me. He's behind me. And he turns around and he just takes a Blade Runner.
Can I say what my favorite part was about that whole thing? That I'm surprised nobody's mentioned this. Mm-hmm. Lights go off. Lights come back up. Bang Bang Gang's on stage. All four of them posing, doing the salutes. Lights go back off. When the lights came back on, it does the switchblade sound effect at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, shing, and then the lights came. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
That was so fire.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Blurry Line says Kaylee got to see Jay return live like she has this over us forever now. Yeah, that's true.
Looking bulky under that shirt. I don't know if anybody else was paying attention. He looked a little bit more. I'm like, okay, Jay done went on the Swerve diet. He looks a little bold.
Yeah, no, he did. He looked jacked.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, he's been recovering and just working out like a motherfucker. It's like being in prison, basically. And
then I ran to the homies and everyone started celebrating on the ramp. And they exploded. Oh man, I was happy. Like that's that little kid feeling that you get watching wrestling that you had as a little kid. Like, yeah. It's stuff like, cause we've been waiting for that for so long to see all 5 of them together. Like, what can they do now that and we finally get it. It's like, it's so exciting. Like,
well, and Jay White's so good. He's just the fucking man in every single way. Jay White in-ring style might, I said it, my fave is Kenny all time. And him and Ospreay and like Kota Ibushi and maybe a few other people have that style that only people that athletic can actually do. Like, that's why there isn't a lot of them. But outside of that style, Jay White, all day, all night, relentlessly logical, counter move after counter move after counter move, stifling people, frustrating people, pissing people off till they make another mistake. He Blade Runners your ass and pins you. He's so good. He's so fucking good.
Yeah. And he's smooth. I think that's what I call Jay's style. Because it's not overly flashy. It's not overly technical. It's not overly striky. It's not overly one thing or another. Like, he does everything good enough, but his movements are just like fluid as fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's what I like about him. It's like, and because he's not explosive, but he's quick.
He's very quick.
So like, it's not like when Randy Orton hits the RKO out of nowhere, like, which looks fire, but it's explosive. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there has to be at least a minimum setup for it. Whereas Jay White can literally hit you with a Blade Runner out of nowhere.
Yep.
Like that, literally out of nowhere. Like, he can just be doing some shit and it's just pop, done. Like, and you're like, where'd that come from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's so smooth. I love Jay White. Like,
oh my God. He's so good. Interesting little controversy happening in the chat here. Blair Line said Blade has had more TV time this year than Deonna Purrazzo, which, you don't agree. You could just leave it. But Tino has to say, hey, Deonna's been on ROH. What the fuck, man? Like, so I've been on AEW television more than she has. And that is true, actually. So, I mean, but Tino, couldn't even live with that. Blair Line says he has 16 abs now. Wow.
Yeah.
E. Polanco said Jay stayed with his cousins in Crenshaw during the summer and came back jacked. Yeah, he looks
for real.
Yoked.
He's hitting them front yard workouts. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Those front yard bench presses.
I know. I'm like, did he do some time like while he was gone or something? He had an injury. Actually, he was in federal prison for a little while.
Right. They had him doing burpees.
Yeah. The next time we see Jay, he's going to not have consumed a milliliter of liquid for 3 days and be able to blade his opponent on his own stomach. Yeah. The thing with Jay White is he has the best gimmick, personality, in-ring style connection in the entire sport. Yeah. Yep. And he's a counter puncher. Jay matches start with him letting himself get his ass kicked for 10 minutes to work out his opponent's pattern so he can exploit them. I saw Jay wrestle Hangman at the second Wrestle Dream. And that was the night Danielson got retired by the Death Riders. And Jay was babyface and Hangman was a heel at the time. And all Jay did the entire match was just infuriate Hangman. He knew exactly how to exploit everything that would piss Hangman off. His psychology is so precise and so dialed into reality of whatever character it is he's wrestling that he's just a pleasure to watch in every way. His promos paint him as a genuine psychopath who only sees opportunity. I mean, that's the thing. We're seeing babyface Jay White, which I never thought I'd see, to be honest with you. Fucking New Japan heel Jay White is the craziest motherfucker I've ever seen. He's terrifying. And I will say this. in a heel off between him and Max, I'd pick Jay.
Yeah. Now, he is somebody that when I was excited when he debuted for AEW, because he's somebody that I went out of my way to watch as much as I could and to be as familiar with as I could. I'm glad that investment has paid off.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my favorites, man. Like when it was him and Swerve for a long time. Him and Swerve were 1A and 1B for me. And now that he's back, he can probably retake one of those positions, because Swerve is still my guy. I'm so happy Jay's back. I'm just so happy.
Oh, it was one of the highlights of the whole show. I mean, it was as important to me as any of the matches. And I was really into the matches. Okay. Next match is the first of the triple main event. Mercedes Moné and Maya World. I've seen people calling this the best match of the show.
Yep.
I'm not going to argue.
My match of the night.
I think it might have been the best match of the night. It's so hard to say.
My match of the night.
It's so hard to say on shows like this.
The thing that puts it, for me, the thing that puts it just because I think you can make the argument from an in-ring perspective for really any of the matches, probably outside of Pac and Shota and the tag match. Outside of that, any of them could be your match of the night in ring, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, there's an argument for that. I think the thing that puts this one over the top is the story about Maya World heading into it. The unexpected hero story, basically, where it's like, oh shit. Even one of them said it, if she keeps getting upsets, at what point do we stop calling them upsets? At what point is she's arrived? And I was like, I like that that's the story they're telling. You know what I mean? That at first it was like, oh shit, Maya World, oh, we didn't expect this. Then it was like, oh, she beat Athena. So she's building her confidence up, and the audience is building their confidence in her at the same rate as she's going through this real life tragedy outside of it. You know what I mean? And she's using that as motivation to keep going. And I think it still tells a realistic story with her losing at the end, because you don't always win under those circumstances. That's a wonderful movie, you know?
Right.
But like Mercedes says, this isn't a movie. This is real life, and I win in real life. You know what I mean? And Mercedes has the experience. So if we're looking at, from a kayfabe perspective, if we're looking at this as a sport, Mercedes has the experience. She is a better wrestler. You know what I mean? She's supposed to win this match. So it all made sense. It was beautiful. Beautiful the way they did it. Maya World looked great. She doesn't look new at all. If she looks like she is experienced. She looks fluid in the ring. She doesn't look like she's thinking about her next step. She just is going out there and wrestling. She looks like she's been doing it as long as anybody else that's out there. She's a star. Yeah. She is a star. That was a star-making performance. She's a future world champion, I think. She should be super proud of what she did, because that was incredible. And of course, shout out Mercedes, because you need a great dance partner, and Mercedes is fantastic. But that's expected at this point. So that's why all my praise is going to Maya World, because we know how good Mercedes is. It's you're one of the, you're probably my number one women's wrestler of all time at this point. Mercedes, I think, is comfortably in that number one spot now. So, but man, Maya World.
Yep. I think she just leapfrogged a bunch of people in the women's division, period, last night. She showed that she's got such a physical charisma. It's that's it, one of those X Factor things where it's you either got that or you don't. You know what I mean? But the greats in wrestling have it. Mercedes has it. And I'm going to take the converse, because you did give it up to Maya World, and I agreed with everything you just said. But this match, to me, made it impossible for me not to consider Mercedes the GOAT, period. She is the fucking GOAT, because she was the ring general of that entire match. That whole thing was running. She was running that match. And she did everything at just the right time to help Maya get over and to make Maya look stronger and to make her look tougher and to make her look more indomitable, and when she finally lost, Mercedes looked like she won by the skin of her teeth. That crowd got so loud. It might have been Bleary, actually. Somebody said in this group chat we were in last night that the match reminded them of Bayley and Sasha at Brooklyn NXT. And I can kind of see that, because I think this is one of those matches people will go back and reference just the way they have for the last 10 years about that match. It's like, it's a better in-ring match than that match, but like, my God, Mercedes gave everything to Maya World that she could to make her a star, and Maya was completely capable of carrying it. It was so fucking good. When Mercedes pulled it out, I was like a little bummed, because they really convinced me that Maya was going to win. And I wasn't bummed that Mercedes did. I'm just like, I was really rooting for Maya, but they got me. And
that was the story they were telling. And that's why it was so good, because like I said, with everything combined, because this would have, unfortunately, obviously it took a series of negative events for this to transpire.
Yeah.
Willow had to get hurt, unfortunately, then there was somebody else who got hurt, I want to say, as well, right?
So it actually, the original winner was supposed to be Toni Storm.
Toni Storm, okay. And she is out for whatever the reasons are.
God damn it.
We don't know.
Yeah, God damn it, Juice.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
So, since she's out as well, okay. So now you have to come up with a brand new plan. And then Maya World's brother dies. Sari wasn't cleared either, so that's a third option that you don't have. So, but then Maya World's brother dies, and it's like, how do you, like, it's fucked up to say capitalize on that, but what better motivation would somebody have to go try to win a tournament at a sport that their brother introduced them to, which
that
is
he loved.
You know what I mean? Like, even though it's fucked up, like, it made perfect sense, and that's probably why she rocked with it, like, because they weren't really exploiting her brother's memory. You know what I mean? It was more or less like a dedication to her brother. And
I think
it's
a lot more tasteful than I've seen it done in the past. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So, yeah, well done. Fucking well done.
Oh my God. And like, we got a bunch of people with stuff to say about this match. But I will say, as I understand it, what happened is her brother was killed. They told her to take some time off, and she showed up at ROH, the Global Wars tapings anyway. And that's when Tony was like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, we're gonna fucking just. Sari couldn't be cleared, and then they were like, fuck it. Put Maya there. Because he just, he already liked her as a wrestler, but he's put his faith in the right person, and she proved it last night. Like, good Lord.
Yep.
So Blairy says, this for me is tied with 3 others, but to be fair, all of those matches were absurdly good. They all were. Yeah. From an enhancement contract to being on the main card, she is the it girl, E. Polanco says. Tino Ibarra, yes, Maya is taking that ROH title. So after the match, right 100%. After the match, they cut to Athena, who basically called Maya a punk, said, she ain't shit. And I was like, oh, this is what's happening. Like, Maya's going to end this.
And that makes the most sense. They've already set it up. We know it can happen because she beat her already.
Yep.
So we know she can beat you. And then
now we know
versus
she's
teacher.
Yeah. And now we know she's going to be.
What we all thought was going to happen with Billy, but it's going to be Maya instead.
Maya's such a better choice. And it's not Billy's fault either. It's just Billy has a ways to go. She's super young. Like, Billy's like still green in the sense that somebody that age should be. Nick Wayne is a freak. Nick Wayne's been wrestling since he was like 8 years old. Bleary Line says Maya World can never be looked at the same way ever again. She is permanently elevated. Absolutely.
Yep.
If she ever were to end up being forgotten about, that's a Tony Khan problem, not a Maya World problem.
100%.
Mercedes made Maya's statement make her look brutal. Yeah, Tino. Yeti Malone, Maya World doesn't do what a lot of other wrestlers do, where they look like they're waiting for the other person to get to a spot. Totally. She finds ways for things to look natural. Bleary, Mercedes could have had this match with a broomstick, and I don't mean to put down Maya World. What I mean is that Mercedes was so in control that the variables for her opponent were so limited. She knew this exactly, Bleary.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
Yeah.
I only want to push back on that a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because as in control as a ring general can be, it always takes both people to make everything look good. Mm-hmm. There's never a situation, unless it's like a Brock Lesnar versus the guy with one leg, where it's literally just, I'm going to throw you the fuck around and then pin you 1, 2, 3, and you're not going to do anything.
Right.
Like, then yes. But outside of that, there has to be, cooperation and camaraderie, especially for a lot of the moves that they were doing. Like, they weren't just out there doing basic shit. They were flying around. They were on the top rope. They were doing everything. So that's the only reason I push back against that a little bit. Although I do get what you're saying. Like, Mercedes is good enough to be able to drag anybody who is even slightly capable to a fantastic match. I do agree with that. But I think this is a little different. I do think Maya did more than her fair share to make it as great
she
of a
did.
match.
No, you're right. I think that's very fair. Now TK has to get more than one women's match, not tournament related, on the weekly shows. E. Polanco, we have been saying that week after week after week. Yes, he does.
This is how I feel about that right there, because of course, total agreement without a question. What I do personally, like, is I only post live during women's segments and women's matches. You'll notice that if you go back to my threads feed from yesterday, I only spoke about the women's matches. As bad as I wanted to say something about Jay White, I was like, no, I'm doing this for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, because TK's a numbers guy. He's, he's obsessed with numbers. He's obsessed with what's being said in the algorithm and all that stuff. So in my mind, if even just a small percentage change happens because people only post during women's segments, then he will eventually put more women's segments on, because you'll see that that's, sort of the, what's it called? Whereas on Collision, they're doing 6 segments a week. The women are getting 6 segments a week on Collision every week. You know what I mean? That's a mix of backstage interviews, usually 2 or 3 matches. They'll do some like cinematic, sort of segment or whatever, where it's just like a showcase of, maybe Divine Dominion looking awesome or whatever. But there's at minimum 6 different things happening with women on Collision. So I think a lot of us, like, even though it kind of sucks because it's Saturday night and people want to do other stuff a lot of the times, and I get it. If you're at home, though, like, watch Collision live and thread about it live, because that's where the women are. Like, they're getting a lot of time on Collision, and that's not fair that they're not getting that same time on Dynamite, because that's the bigger show. But if you want to support the women, you have to watch Collision. And make it known that you're watching Collision.
That you're watching Collision for the women. Yeah. No, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think that's a very fair point. And I think that, what I say on the podcast a lot is, at the end of the day, people need to, it doesn't matter whose decision it is. It doesn't matter if it's Tony Khan's decision. It doesn't matter if it's WB's decision. You still need to talk about it, because it's a problem no matter whose decision it is. They're eventually going to be nailed with a bunch of feedback from people, that want to see more women's wrestling. So however you choose to make it known, just make it known. And it's okay to criticize the product, even if it's really good still. I don't have a problem with AEW as a product, other than they have these fabulous wrestlers that are barely being used. Jermaine Presley says Mercedes was a real ring general, especially when Maya was having clothes issue and a hair issue during their match. This is why you pay Mercedes the money she gets. I thought the same thing. You know, she threw her to the outside and she took over and directed all the attention to her while they were figuring out what was going on with how to get Maya's wig to, you know, stay on or whatever the thing was. 100%. They got it on, and then it wasn't an issue for the rest of the match, you know, and
that's why I don't totally disagree with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I definitely don't totally disagree with what Bleary said at all.
No,
it's contextualizing a little bit more. Hopefully that's what I was doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get where you're coming from. And I agree. I agree. Like, the match made me respect Mercedes on an even bigger level than I already did, which was already very big. She just looked like every bit an all-time great last night to me. It just, for some reason, I've always thought of her that way. For years and years, I've thought of her that way. But for some reason, last night felt like one of her crowning achievements as a worker. But Maya, to rise to the occasion, to not freeze up, to not, you know, let the butterflies get you, let the opportunity slip through your fingers. That's very hard to do. And Maya lived up to it and she was there joining in with Mercedes in this effort. It wasn't a Mercedes match alone, you know. It was just one star on the rise. And I think Mercedes, I'm going to say, I think her prime really starts when she joins AEW. Like, because she becomes all the way Mercedes when she joins AEW. And there's been a huge change in her since that moment. And I love it. I love it. Jermaine says, since Mercedes came back, she showed everyone what AEW was missing when she was out for 6 months and what the women's division was missing. Yeah, agreed. Tino talking about the ROH women's title. It makes more sense with Maya. I agree. I think it does. And then Jermaine says, do you have Maya defeat Athena on AEW pay-per-view Redemption or ROH pay-per-view for the women's world title? I think they'll probably do it on an ROH thing, but they should do it on an at Redemption or something.
Yeah.
It looks like it's happening soon, but I know ROH has a summer event every year, so it's hard to say. But
that is hard to say.
My guess is they'll do it in ROH.
Product also, so you want to have a big match to bring people there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to make sure that it's showcased on such a level to where a lot of people see it. Yeah, that's good. I don't know. That's a great question.
But for all the people bummed that Maya lost, they immediately cut to that Athena piece to tell you, like, Maya has a direction, and this is the direction. Like,
yeah, don't worry, we got plans.
Yeah, we got plans. Exactly. Next match was the big circular cage, the Devil's Door, the Devil's, what was it called? The Devil's something? They named it on the spot, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, like, yeah. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. This has
I'm like, all right, that's cool. But it was a 12-man match. Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Konosuke Takeshita, and Darby Allin versus Team DC MJF, which was MJF, the Jack Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, Jake Doyle, Kazuchika Okada, and Andrade El Idolo. Very hard match to describe. I'm simply going to say it was a lot of fun you know, it wasn't a match I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this match. But when it happened, I really enjoyed it.
This was more a match that I was curious about. I knew it was going to be more of an angle match than a match for the match's sake, if that makes sense. Like the rest of them were matches for the match's sake. Like you wanted to see Kenny versus Zach because that match was going to be awesome. And that's all you needed, you know. Whereas this, it was more like, okay, what's going to happen in this match that's going to lead to other shit? That's more so what you were watching this for. So because you got the MJF Mark Briscoe story, you know, you wanted to see if Mark is going to get a world title shot, which yes, he is. You have, you know, feuds that are still lingering, you know, Okada and Takeshita. That's not really settled yet just because they had a match. Okada's not just going to let that ride, you know,
No.
so they still got their issues. Then, of course, you have the Andrade, you know, situation. Like, is he really still Don Callis family, or is he going to break off? Which, you know, we'll get to that in a minute. But there were so many different storyline implications going on in the match to where that's what you were watching for. Yeah. It wasn't really for the match itself. So that context, I super enjoyed it because everything made sense.
Well, and this kind of harps on the same point I made after Double or Nothing, is that big cluster comedy / hardcore match is a great way to bring people down before you like go into super serious territory again. Because if you had done Will and Swerve right after Mercedes and Maya, I think the crowd would have had a hard time getting back up again, you know? This was like a silly distraction almost in a lot of ways. And that was perfect for the moment. You know, that was like, they can't do a huge group hardcore match every time, but having something that was funny, and we got to talk about the funny highlights of this. I do want to give Blurry Line a chance to say a comment here, just to kind of clarify what he was saying about Mercedes. Set the foundation for a 5-star match and performed all 5 stars of that match. Maya World added the 6th, and that 6th star is the hardest one to earn. Yeah, I mean, it's I understand where you're coming from, Blair. I totally do. I think
I do too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like Maya World showed everybody that she is so much more than like this 3-minute, you know, I got hired instead of Tegan Knox kind of thing. You know, like she's here. She's ready right now. She is ready right now. And that's all she needed to do. And she exceeded expectations in every way. But what'd you think of the circle cage?
I was curious how they were going to make it work when they announced that it was a cage match at first. And I was like, okay, well, it's not the blood and guts style where they do it like war game style. I was like, okay, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that because there's only one ring. You know, but they just kept saying cage match. I was like, is there going to be a lid on the cage? Like, how big is this cage going to be if there's 12 guys? Like, so when they showed it at the beginning, like during the pre-show, and they were like, you know, showing it hanging above the ring, it was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, so then, you know, the actual match, I mean, yeah, it was pretty much what you would expect from 12 guys being in a cage having to fight each other.
Yeah.
You know, so that part was cool. Like I said, it was more about the story implications for me. So, like I said, all of the story stuff that they did made sense. So I was happy with it.
The whole thing was a story match for sure. And, you know, they had alluded to some of the tension, you know, with Andrade and MJF. They had, you know, alluded to other tensions within the Don Callis family between Fletcher and Kevin Knight, between, and everybody from both sides of the team had a personal dispute with pretty much everybody from the other team. And so first things first, having Willow be the conglom mom and pack fruit snacks for everybody was fucking hilarious. The orange bites, they all like take a bite. Kyle O'Reilly and Orange and Roddy played that perfectly. Kyle O'Reilly beats a man with a Nintendo. They're strangling people with Nintendo controllers. All of that was so good. And then the fact that they then used the citrus from the orange to torture Kyle Fletcher by pouring it into his cut was pretty great.
And see, that brings up a different point that you made yesterday where you were like, you know, surprised in a good way that the conglomeration story has been able to last this long.
Yeah.
And I brought the point that it's because they have so many members and like members that are adjacent to them, like they're not all always involved in conglomeration related storylines. So like right now, Harley's doing her own thing. Willow is recovering, but when Willow was here, she was kind of doing her own thing. You know, Ishii, he's off doing whatever he's doing, you know, like wrestling in Japan or whatever. So it's like, then these people can come back in, and then, you know, Roddy can go off and do something else, or Roddy and Kyle go off and do something else, and Ishii can come back and kind of fill, you know, so it's like a circling cast of people. So the group is always changing, even though the group always stays the same. Because, like, unless, I don't know if Takeshita is going to like fully join the conglomeration, or if he's just going to kind of team with them sometimes. I hope it's that more.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think that's closer to what it is.
Yeah, like I hope he's like an affiliate, you know, like that. If they need somebody, they can hit him up, and, you know, outside of that, I'm doing my own thing. But since that's kind of how their group functions, I think it allows them to just kind of keep going, you know. So
at the beginning of the match, they brought a bunch of bags with them down to the ring. You know, it's not uncommon for the conglomeration to have the bags, but Roddy has this gigantic fucking bag. And you're like, what the fuck is in that thing? And at one point it was in the ring, and then it got kicked out of the ring. And obviously there's two bags, right? Like Roddy was carrying one that didn't have much in it, but was stuffed to look like it did. And the second one had fucking Lio Rush in it. What an insanely good cameo. Holy shit, that was so funny. Did that blow your mind?
Yeah, it did. It did, because it was so unexpected. Like, I didn't know what I thought was going to be in the bag, but I definitely didn't expect Lio Rush.
Nope.
And especially because, like, the conglomeration has been, like, scared of Lio Rush, you know? So it's like, for them to, like, I guess in kayfabe, kidnap him and trap him in this bag. I mean, somebody got over a fear, you know, because they were terrified of him and they were standing still, you know? So, no, but, like, yeah, like, I was shocked to see him, and it was a really good cameo. Like, it made, again, everything that happened made sense, because it's like he has been involved with everything that's been going on, like, in a weird way. So it made sense. Like, yeah.
Then
shut up. I fucking love it.
I fucking love Lio Rush. I love this character. I love Blackheart. I love the whole thing. He was wearing like rainbow tights.
Yeah.
So
that said Blackheart on.
Yeah. So I think he wants to be in the conglomeration is the whole point. And I think that's been the point this whole time. But my God, I love this character. He's so committed to it. It's so much fun to watch.
And then like even the MJF spot where he takes out the ring, and then Lio Rush is like mesmerized by the ring, and MJF was like, wait, this is, oh, okay, good. All right, sweet. Yeah. I got him distracted. Like, get like, that's
they did
so
a Gollum
smart.
spot. Like, they did the Gollum spot.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking killing me. The Gollum spot killed me, because MJF's, he sold it so perfectly. He's like, what? Oh, this? Oh.
And one other shout out to MJF, because in my mind, like right before it happened, I was like, if MJF's character makes any sense, he's just gonna do this. And it happened immediately. I was like, okay, good. Like, so he has the ring on. Orange Cassidy steps in front of who was it? Mark Briscoe, I think. Puts his hands in his pockets. My first thought was MJF should just blast him right away. And that's exactly what he did. He just walked right up and pink. I was like, okay, good. That's what MJF would do.
Yeah.
He's not going to sit there and play your silly games with you while you're fake kicking him, and he's not going to look around at the crowd all irritated. No, MJF would just punch you in the face with the ring. Yeah. So I was so happy that that's what happened. I was
yes.
Excellent looking. Like,
yeah, no, that was great. Darby chasing Kevin Knight up the cage. Kevin Knight runs to go get Darby's bag that he had put up there at the beginning of the match, and it explodes because Darby booby trapped that. That was a nice touch. Kevin Knight falls from the top of the cage through a bunch of tables.
That was awesome.
And then Darby immediately just jumps off the cage, and Coffin drops the entire crew. Last thing we got to talk about, and this was the highlight, one of the highlights of the show, really, for me. If you had told me they were going to do this in this match, and I would love it as much as I did, I wouldn't have believed you. But it's at the very end. Mark Briscoe's just been beaten to shit, and he MJF tells Andrade to hold Mark for him, and because he's going to hit him with the ring, you know. Yeah. And everybody's like, "Oh, Mark's going to move and he's going to hit Andrade, right?" But instead, he starts running. Andrade immediately throws Mark to the side and hits that amazing fucking spinning elbow thing he does and knocks Max the fuck out. And he's like, fuck you. He just stands over him and says, fuck you, basically. Then every member of this team looked like such a fucking cuck throughout this entire match because they're all wearing that terrible shirt of MJF and Dawn in these little tiny panties or whatever. And and he pulls his off and he's wearing a tank top that says fuck Dawn and fuck MJF.
And it's so funny because they did the world's worst job of blurring the word fuck, like, because you could still very clearly read it through the blur.
Yeah. It was so well done. And you just made Andrade like he's main event babyface. Like he was on his way there anyway, but like this was the move. If you wanted to maximize his turn, this was the way to do it.
We needed a reason to fully buy in to cheer. That's all. Because again, the Callis family is a rarity in AEW where they are straight up heels. Mm-hmm. You know, they do bad guy things just for bad guy's sake. You know what I mean? We're evil, and that's why we did it. Like, that's, you know, for the most part, that's not really how other people are. They might just go too far, and you're like, oh, I disagree with that. But like the Callis family, they do shit just to be evil.
Yes.
So,
right.
So that's why I was like, okay, we want to like you, Andrade, but we can't because you're part of the Callis family, and we have been trained to hate everything they do. Mm-hmm. So now it's like, you know, he's, in the words of Mark Wahlberg, he's a pretty little peacock. You got to let him fly.
That's right. That's right. Blurry Line says Roddy and Kayfabe like hunted and captured Leo Rush to unleash on his enemies like a snake, presumably set snare traps and everything. The circle cage should be used to denote that this is a silly cage match as opposed to a regular cage match or blood and guts. Shout out to Takeshita for finding his finger in the backpack as well. I love that Takeshita literally brought a backpack out with nothing in it to do the flip off spot to Okada. That he like planned that. He planned it.
You got me. Like, that was a good one.
Yeah. I know Okada laughed and then took a swing at him. And then Tino says, that's how you quit a team. Then, then Jake something gets kicked in the nuts and takes fucking Mark Briscoe's the J Driller, and it's over. So Mark Briscoe's getting a title shot this Wednesday on Dynamite. Which I don't know. Like, I could see MJF losing it because he obviously is injured, you know?
And no preparation, man. Max's kryptonite is no prep.
Yeah. Blurry Line says if you plan on quitting your job, the standard has been set. Yes, that is true. Last match. It's Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. We knew this was going to be a really good match. It was so much better than I expected it to be. Like, their match at Forbidden Door, when Swerve beat him at Forbidden Door when he was world champion, was my favorite title defense of Swerve's up until Danielson at All In. This was miles better than that. Like, this was crazy shit. And it had so many fucking layers of story to it.
Yeah.
I can't describe most of the match because it's so crazy. But the spot,
I don't think you can really, nobody can really do it justice. Like you just got to watch it. You have to.
The deeper they get in, they're both bleeding like buckets, and Swerve gushed. Swerve hit that same gusher he hit in that Hangman Texas Death match. Is what he did.
He hit that Eddie special is what I call that. The Eddie Guerrero special, man. Like, because it never stopped. Once he started bleeding, it continued pouring.
Yeah.
the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Like, Will Ospreay eventually dried up and stopped actively bleeding.
Right.
Swerve's never did.
No.
Like, he was at the very end of the match when they were looking at each other, getting ready to do what's the
duel thing
called when people like we're both lining up and we're gonna go at each other at the same time, like the duel.
Yeah,
spot,
a duel. Yeah,
like So he was standing there and it was pouring out of his face still, and that was like a solid 10-15 minutes after it started bleeding.
Oh God, he wrestled so long after it started, like crazy.
I was like, thank God he put on that extra weight, man, because he would have fucking passed out if he was small Swerve still trying to do that.
No shit. No shit. But Blurry Line says the buckshot hidden blade is the highest form of pro wrestling in-ring storytelling possible. So many shout outs to Hangman in this match by both these guys. Swerve hits the dead eye at one point. I mean, everybody's alluding to Hangman. You forget, like, this is the future of the main event, of AEW. And it's not even the future anymore. It's happening right in front of us. Swerve, Ospreay, MJF, and Hanger. Like, that's it. That's the crew right there. And those are your sure things, And now it's Ospreay's turn to have that main story. And then, the Death Riders come down to the ring to cheer Will on. This is important for two reasons, because it gives Will something to draw some inspiration from when he's about to be beaten, right? But I also think this will be the impetus for the creation of the new embassy. And this is where Swerve's going to form his stable from. Like, he was outnumbered. He felt intimidated. It gave Will an edge. He's like, fuck this. I need people watching my back too. But when they did that thing where Ospreay's on his knees, out. Ospreay just doing incredible selling. And Swerve fucking hits the house call. And Ospreay's head just like turns to face the Death Riders. And he basically no-sells it and fucking powers up. So badass. So badass. There was so much storytelling in this match.
The other crazy no-sell spot, obviously, is when Will Ospreay gives the hidden blade to Swerve. Swerve just eats it and then just back elbows the shit from and knocks him the fuck out. That shit was crazy.
That was crazy. Remember when he wrestled Danielson at All In and Danielson hit the Buzaiku knee on him and he just like laughed and like brushed it off? Like, Swerve does this thing where he has like monster mode where he's like, you cannot hurt me. Like, he gets hit with a hidden blade, no-sells it, and then destroys Ospreay with one. Unbelievable.
I almost took it the opposite way. Rather than, or maybe it's a combo of both, but rather than it Swerve being in monster mode, I almost took it as he beat Will's ass so much that he couldn't deliver it effectively.
I think that's
why Swerve you know what I mean? It just bounced off him basically because Will had no strength.
And that's what the announcers.
That's the cool thing about wrestling. You can do both. Like,
and I think yours is probably closer to what they intended. I think the same was true of Danielson too, because Swerve had been dominating him, but like, I loved it. And when Swerve hit Will back, I mean, Jesus Christ, that was vicious.
Rocked his shit.
Yeah. So, basically, they hit each other with everything they had, all their finishers, everything. Both guys kicked out of everything. And Will had to finally hit the Tiger Driver, which he didn't hesitate to hit. The only guy, the only two people he's ever done that move to are Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. And he did it to Swerve and pinned him. What a fucking match. Like, in ring, this is probably the match of the night. Probably,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Swerve and Will
Mercedes and Maya. Like, I think Mercedes and Maya is up there. Like,
I know. It's really just kind of, what did you prefer?
You could really pick any match that pretty much outside of the tag match and the Pac Shota match. Any other match, it's like, yeah, it's debatable.
Yeah.
Like, if this is your favorite match, it makes sense. You know, this is a wonderful match. Like, now I want to know if you notice this, and am I looking too much into this?
Mm-hmm.
So when they're celebrating the win, and they have Will Ospreay on the shoulders of Moxley and Claudio, and Daniel Garcia is over on the right, and he's just losing his shit celebrating for Will Ospreay. Yeah, fucking let's go! Ah! And Marina's smiling, and everyone looks happy. Even Pac is celebrating the win.
I know.
He doesn't celebrate anybody's wins. No. He doesn't even celebrate other Death Rider wins. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about anybody. But Will, he celebrates Will, right? I want to know, am I looking too much into this, or did you see this? When they have him on the shoulders, Claudio and Moxley look at each other, and Moxley winks at Claudio. Does that mean anything? Are we going to see? What are we? You know, like, am I reading too much into things, or did you see that?
No, you were supposed to feel that tension, and there was a tension very similar to like them turning on Danielson, where it was like. And kind of like when Mox and Claudio looked at each other, it was kind of like, do it now, you know, or like, wait, you know, kind of thing. Yeah, the Death Riders are going to turn on Will, I think. I mean, I think that tension.
Do you think the game plan for him to win the title so that way Mox can get it from him? Because he's like, I taught you everything you know now, so I'm going to, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's like, you're going to be the easiest person for me to get the belt from because I know everything you know. I taught you everything.
Yep.
I just got done training you.
Yep.
You're my young boy now.
You're
like
my young boy. Yep. I think that is. They'll wait until he has the belt. Ooh. Goddamn. All right, let's read the rest of this chat and get the fuck out of here, man. Dude, fucking what a conversation, man. Like 3 hours to recap.
It's easy when they are giving us shit like that to talk about. You know, they're giving us type of shows. It's easy to talk for 3 hours about it.
Yeah, totally. Tino says, how mad was Mox that his match didn't have the most blood? And it had a lot of blood, too. Swerve has no coagulation factor, Blurry says. Tino says, Swerve needed some of those orange slices. Blurry Line says, losing 3/4 of your blood and losing one of the biggest matches of your career will make a man do funny things. Yeah.
Word.
Blurry Line says, Swerve clicks in L3 and R3 and gets 6 seconds of invincibility. Blurry Line says, this is a match so good, you actually run out of things to say about it. Like, just imagine the best possible violent, intense singles match possible. It's that. El Polanco, Swerve needs a stable. He's learning quickly that going solo during his current AEW era going to leave him vulnerable. Yeah, I think that's very true. Yes, Blurry Line
like
agree.
I said, it's a super easy way to elevate people. Like, even think about like the Ring of Honor groups, right? Like STP. We love STP.
Yes, we do.
They're not really pushing anybody in STP, but they're a group and we fuck with all of them equally. So it's like, once they push one of them, then they could elevate some of the other ones, if not all the rest of them. Like stables, yeah. Get you a crew, Swerve. Come on, man. Recruit Kevin Knight away from Don Callis. That's what he was doing anyway. Get him up out of there and get your boy. Yeah.
Blurry Light said they teased the evolutioning the fuck out of Will. Yeah, that whole that thing, the thumbs down thing. Okay, Blurry Line says, Claudio, it has long been my feeling that Claudio is the killer of this group. He is the one who is waiting for a chance to betray someone. He looks at Mox with disgust. He doesn't care who. He is going to be the guy who pulls the trigger. There is that vibe to Claudio, and I think that him not being on TV as much is adding to that. Him and Pac, yeah.
Him and Pac are going to... I still see division happening the same way that when we initially thought the Death Riders were going to break up. I still see it happening very much the same way, where Mox is going to lose his title against somebody that Claudio and Pac just feel he should not be losing the title to.
Yep.
And when that happens, they are going to Danielson him. However, the group is going to dissolve at that point. There's not going to be any more Death Riders. It's not going to continue on with Moxley being outed. It's over at that point because I think Marina will side with Moxley. Mm-hmm. I think Garcia potentially sides with Claudio and them because it seems like he's closer with like Claudio and Pac. And then Yuta maybe plays that confused middle, I don't know where to go kind of role. Because that's what he does, right? Like he did it at the beginning with kicking Danielson out. He didn't want to be, but eventually he did. So he could play that role kind of. But I think the group's over at that point. But yeah, like Claudio is going to be the one to do it for sure. Because he's always the one that's looking at Moxley like, just wait. Just wait till you fuck up. Like,
Larry Line says, I either think Marina will side with Mox or Marina will be brokenhearted at having to betray him. Yeah, I could see either.
I could see that too.
Yeah, I thought Marina's reaction to Daniel, I think, foretells something bigger too. So to Daniel losing, like the disappointment on her face. Yeah. Well, everybody, if you haven't, please subscribe to our channel, Pro Wrestling Forever. We're live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Shane, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, man, you can find me on Threads at Shane_Ethos, as you see right there under my face. Yeah. And then definitely subscribe on YouTube. We go live, several times a week. I bring you just various news stories, things I find interesting, different levels of conversation. I create a lot of content that pisses off racists, and I love arguing with them in the comment section. So follow us on Instagram for that at Ethos Media Network. Because there are plenty of racists on there that need combating. So feel free to come join me in my fight. Outside of that, that's where you'll find me at Shane_Ethos everywhere and at Ethos Media Network for all the content.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we were all going at it with some racists in your comments last week. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a very regular thing. So, just if you follow, you will see it. Trust me. They're all the time.
Massive love to everybody. Blurry Line said, this is one of my favorite podcast apps ever. That's awesome. Also, I think it's why it's important Mox has a continental title is what gives him his keys to power. Yeah. There's so much to bite into on this show. There really is. There's so many possibilities. Now we're heading towards redemption, but really we all know we're heading towards all in. So make sure you subscribe to us, leave us a 5-star review, wherever it is you can leave reviews. And thank you so much for joining us. I'll be back with you on Friday at Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. That's at Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. That's our YouTube channel. And join me there at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about the fallout on Dynamite. So hope you all take care of yourselves till then. Goodbye.